Chapter 26. 1 month after enrollment. Li Quan, who was sitting in the last row, fell asleep out of boredom. During the first month of school, Abare Mayuki, the class's introductory teacher, had been explaining to them how to refine chakra. But after trying several times, Li Quan found that he really couldn't extract chakra from his body. So after listening to a few classes, he gave up decisively. If he had this much time, he might as well use Tai Chi techniques to cultivate Qi. After a month of practice, the Qi in his body had reached the amount of 4 cups of water. However, after the battle with Kakashi, it turned out to be just as Li Quan expected. Although there were still people trying to get close to him at the beginning, he soon became an insignificant figure. Because Might Guy, the worst student in the class, can now sense the existence of chakra. But there was still no trace of it in Li Quan's body. This also made everyone understand where Li Quan's strength lies. Physical training. A taijutsu that's only slightly weaker than Kakashi's. A ninja without chakra can't go very far. Perhaps this level of strength is already Li Quan's limit. But no one dared to provoke Li Quan. Li Quan is the man who almost tied with Kakashi. With the strength of these kids, few can be their opponents. Li Quan naturally felt joy and peace in this regard. And in this month, except for the first 5 days, when he was afraid that someone would spy on him, he did not continue to practice body training. For the next 25 days, he used his red hands every day to strengthen his body. But after completing 20 body training sessions, Li Quan discovered that even if the qi in his body quadrupled, he still could not complete one more body tempering. As a frequent reader of novels, Li Quan clearly understood that this was the so-called bottleneck. So during this period, whenever Li Quan had free time, he would practice with Orochimaru in the back mountain. After several sparring sessions, he had a complete grasp of his own fighting abilities. According to Orochimaru's evaluation, his current combat capability should be at the primary shadow level. However, with the combination of Shuangquanchao and Wudang Tai Chi, he should have no problem defeating an average mid-level shadow-level warrior. Because of Tai Chi, Orochimaru was shocked again. Orochimaru has a wide range of knowledge. But the techniques used by Li Quan included some new ones that Orochimaru had never seen before. And with just physical skills, he beat Orochimaru so hard that he couldn't fight back. This made Orochimaru self-deprecate again. Then, under Li Quan's persuasion, he went to complete the mission to earn money. Li Quan had never expected that Orochimaru would be so imaginative. But this is a good thing for him. With Orochimaru's ability, he should be able to continue drawing the lottery in the near future. Speaking of which, the biggest event that happened in the class this month was probably Sarutobi Hiruzen becoming the teacher. Every few days, Sarutobi Hiruzen would come and talk about the heroic deeds of various Konoha. Li Quan naturally supported this heroic act very much. He is now a loyal fan of Will of Fire. Every time Hiruzen came, he was very excited. This made the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen gain a lot of face. And the look in Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes when he looked at Li Quan was even more smug. Li Quan is just a child after all, and it's a shame that the third Hokage came here in person. Today, Li Quan has completely become a supporter of the Will of Fire. Then, you can proceed to the next step. Li Quan had no idea what Sarutobi Hiruzen was going to do. Any conspiracy is not worth mentioning in the face of absolute strength. Although Li Quan does not have absolute strength now. But facing Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was just barely a cage-level warrior, he was not very afraid. Speaking of which, he and Tsunade have become more familiar with each other in this month. And the mutual quarrel mode started. The only thing that makes Li Quan regretful is that the system has not issued any new tasks for him for a month. I don't have enough money to participate in the lottery, I have encountered a bottleneck in my practice, and there are no tasks for me to receive rewards. Every day he either acts with the third generation, cultivates relationships with other little girls, or bickers with Tsunade. There is not even anyone to cause trouble for him, so he really doesn't have enough motivation. Ding, tasks are being issued within 3 years, obtain the title of Genin reward, 50 years of cultivation, equivalent amount of Qi, water in the jar note, after 50 years of cultivation, one can reach the second level of the 3 innate realms, which refers to the Xian realm. Hearing the system's voice, Li Quan just chuckled. The hard requirement for graduation is to learn the 3 body techniques. He couldn't learn the 3 body technique, so if he wanted to graduate, he could probably only draw Feng Kaokuman. But that thing is not that easy to smoke. The system's lottery draws are ranked, which is roughly similar to the relationship between ninja missions and rewards. Before, he used Orochimaru's 200,000 and drew a prize that was probably the top B-level prize. The 8 wonders such as Feng Ho Chi Men would probably require an S-level or even 3 S-level mission reward to draw out. If he wants to graduate, he will probably have to go through the back door. If you go through the back door, Tsunade might be able to help her. Shaking his head slightly, Li Quan saw Kakashi with a gloomy face on the street. There is a problem. Kakashi is still a very cheerful child. And after fighting with him a month ago, Kakashi's attitude towards him also changed. When I see him normally, I will say hello. But now, this gloomy aura is almost scaring away passers-by. Quan. What are you looking at? Suddenly, a pair of chubby little hands covered Li Quan's eyes. Hong, stop messing around, I can't see. Li Quan smiled and clapped his hands on his face, saying helplessly. Ah, you guessed it again. This is not fun, Yahi Kurane let go of her hand and came to Li Chuan with no Haro linear Uchiha Obito, on the other hand, stood aside angrily, staring at Li Chuan. Li Chuan, I have learned the art of transformation now, how are you? I haven't yet. Li Chuan shook his head. What's the point of trying to make yourself feel important in front of him? With his current fighting power, even 100 Obitos would not be enough for him. You are awesome, okay. He waved his hand perfunctorily, looked at Kakashi's dejected back, and asked, you know, what happened to Kakashi recently? I know this. My father said that it seemed to be Senior White Fang. He had just completed a mission recently, but it seemed to have failed. Yahi Kurane frowned and looked over with some disdain. For the sake of your companions, you actually caused the mission to fail and the village to suffer losses. Senior White Fang is really wrong. Hearing Yahi Kurane's words, Li Quan's heart skipped a beat. So fast? This should happen in 4 or 5 months. My appearance has caused some things to change. Hong, what you said is wrong. On the side, Obito shook his head. I think Senior White Fang did nothing wrong. He was a companion. If it were me, I would definitely save him too. Lin, what do you think? Li Chuan nodded and looked at Noharo Lin beside him. I don't know. Being stared at by Li Chuan, Noharo Lin suddenly felt shy and flustered, and started pinching her fingers at a loss. Yeah, I understand. With his eyes narrowed, Li Chuan chatted with a few people for a few words and then left alone. He decided to deal with these brainwashed children in a few days, especially Yahi Kurane. Hong seems to have been severely brainwashed. He needs to think carefully about how to change Hong's mind. But there is still a long time to go. Now, he has to deal with the issue of Hotaki Sakumo. After all, he didn't know when this Konoha White Fang would commit suicide. Chapter 27. Hokage Rock is at the back of the mountain, at the base of the roots. Shimura Danzo looked at the latest documents and smiled with satisfaction. Up to now, there hasn't been any major trouble. The information he asked his men to gather also provided some clues. That child's parents are actually carrying out a mission in the Hidden Rain village. Is it for the new Force Akatsuki? Touching his bandaged arm, Danzo put down the information in his hand. He is not an impatient person. For many things, he likes to take his time. After more than a month of investigation, Danzo already had a basic understanding of Li Quan's family. Unlike Kakashi who has a father like Hotaki Sakumo, Li Quan's parents are just an ordinary pair of genin. But for genin, money has a different interest. So when Li Quan was 3 years old, the parents left Li Quan and took on various tasks. 1 year ago, he officially accepted the undercover mission in Yuyan village. During this period, he never returned to the village. It is basically impossible for such children to learn from their parents. In other words, Li Quan may have awakened a special talent. And this month, following the investigation of my subordinates, Danzo has also determined the extent of Li Quan's future potential. Relying on that unknown talent, Li Quan may be able to reach the level of elite JA Nin in the future just by relying on Taijutsu. As for other talents, being smart and clever is one of them. If you want to turn this kind of child into a knife, the best way is to start with the child's family. So this month, in addition to one other thing, he has been trying to find out about Li Quan's parents. I have to admit that my old rival Hiruzen is really strict in guarding the information about the secret operation. I actually wasted a month of my time. Now that he knows the news about Li Quan's parents, he has to take action after completing his recent major task. Chuckling, he called out to his subordinates. How is Hotaki Sakumo doing lately? Sir, with our involvement, Hotaki Sakumo's mission failed 3 days ago. As for the past few days, Anbu members are spreading slanderous messages in the village. A masked root member knelt on one knee and reported to Danzo. After hearing the answer, Danzo smiled again. His thoughts were pulled back to half a month ago. Half a month ago, in the Hokage meeting room, Sarutobi Hiruzen convened a meeting of Konoha's top leaders. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke a few times, Shimura Danzo understood what his old rival meant. Then, he said something in front of Mitaman N, Yutain Koharu and others. White Fang is too popular, we need to tone it down. The other senior executives immediately understood whose idea it was. That's right, Shimao is still too young and needs to be polished. Mitaman N responded. Then he subconsciously looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen became the 3rd Hokage in Konoha's 20th year. 23 years have now passed. During these 23 years, Konoha has basically become the world of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. These two people, one in the sun and the other in the dark, control everything in Konoha. These senior executives are also enjoying the convenience brought by these two people. If Hotaki Sakumo, a civilian ninja who had little connection with them, became the next generation Hokage, then their interests will be damaged. If it needs to be suppressed, it must be suppressed. Soon, several people finalized the plan. On the second day, Sarutobi Hiruzen assigned an A-level mission to the team led by Hotaki Sakumo. Retracting his thoughts, Shimura Danzo sneered. Although both Sarutobi Hiruzen and he were good-for-nothings, this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little too cruel. It was clearly agreed that we would suppress it. So he just let the root members take action and hinder Hotaki Sakumo's mission. After all, Hotaki Sakumo is the village's top combat force. Several other ninja villages are still eyeing Konoha covetously, and Hotaki Sakumo cannot be killed for the time being. But Hiruzen actually let Anbu spread slanderous news. With Hatake Sakumo's personality, he might commit suicide to apologize this time. Hiruzen, I underestimated your greed for the position of Hokage. In that case, let me help you. Muttering to himself, Danzo looked at his subordinates in front of him. You guys should take action too. It's getting dark. Li Chuan went to Kakashi's home according to his memory. This is also due to Kakashi's personality at the time. Although he is aloof, Kakashi has no objection to making friends thanks to the guidance of Hatake Sakumo. Li Chuan made friends with Kakashi on purpose because he thought of what happened to Hatake Sakumo. So Li Chuan also knew where Kakashi's home was. Dong dong knocking on the door, Li Chuan looked up at the sky nervously. The sky is a little dim at this moment. The moonlight was completely blocked out. It seemed as if a drizzle would begin to fall soon. As per usual. In this kind of environment, several people usually die. So Li Chuan was very nervous. It would be a shame if we couldn't make up for our regrets after traveling to the Hokage world. I hope I haven't come too late. Crunch, the door was slowly opened. Kakashi's somewhat surprised face was revealed. Li Chuan? What do you want to talk to me about? Not bad, not bad. Seeing that Kakashi didn't look very sad, Li Chuan felt relieved. With joy in his heart, he hurriedly asked, Kakashi, is Senior White Fang here? I want to ask Senior White Fang something. My father. Kakashi frowned. My father's reputation hasn't been very good recently. What could Li Chuan, this guy, ask his father for advice at a time like this? Go inside first, be careful of the rain. Out of good manners, Kakashi made way and gestured for invitation. Kakashi still has great respect for Li Chuan. His parents were not around to teach him, and he was also a child from an ordinary family, but his father thought he was better than this genius. Although he didn't quite believe it. But in the battle that day, Kakashi still recognized Li Chuan very much. After Li Chuan entered the house, he did not rush to look for Hatake Sakumo. Kakashi's performance had made him realize that Hatake Sakumo was not in any trouble for the time being. Then things will be much easier. After looking around Kakashi's house, Li Chuan swallowed. To be honest, he was really jealous. Light luxury is also luxury. This family background, my small house, is nothing compared to. Maybe after helping and even conquering Hatake Sakumo this time, he can immediately win a big prize through Hatake Sakumo. As he was thinking, after walking into the living room, Li Chuan finally saw the man known as Konoha White Fang. But at this moment, Hatake Sakumo's face looked extremely depressed. Sitting next to the coffee table, his somewhat unfocused eyes stared at the half-empty bottle of beer in front of him. There is no trace of the vigor that Li Chuan had before, as he had seen at a quick glance. The stubble on his face made him look extremely haggard. After hearing the sound of the living room door opening, Hatake Sakumo subconsciously looked up. He seemed a little confused and asked, I remember your name is Li Chuan, right? Hiccup, what do you want to talk to me about? Smelling the strong smell of alcohol, Li Chuan wrinkled his nose. Have you started to give up on yourself? It's a bit tricky. How to guide this man? Chapter 28. The living room of Kakashi's house. Li Chuan sat down cross-legged opposite Hatake Sakumo. Senior White Fang, can you tell me about your recent experience? With a cold snort, Hatake Sakumo picked up the bottle and took a big gulp. Then, he stared at Li Chuan, his eyes full of murderous intent and said, Little ghost, the mission of the village is not something you can ask casually. Senior White Fang, did you misunderstand something? With doubt in his eyes, Li Chuan looked at Kakashi with some confusion. How can you be sure that I am here to gather information? Then an idea popped up in his mind. Hatake Sakumo doesn't think that this was just an accident, does he? Or did Hatake Sakumo never think that this matter was related to the third generation? That would be horrible. Even after all this has happened, Hatake Sakumo is still thinking about the village. And there is no doubt that this matter has something to do with the third generation. The image of Sarutobi Hiruzen bathing in the sun is so deeply rooted in people's hearts. Kakashi, on the other hand, looked completely confused. What does Li Chuan mean by himself? How does he know what his father is thinking? Kakashi, go back to your room. Li Chuan and I need to talk alone. Oh. Although Kakashi was confused, he still obeyed his father. After Kakashi left, Hatake Sakumo took out a ninja tool and activated it. Then a light blue energy directly enveloped him and Li Chuan. This kind of ninja tool can block the propagation of sound. Tell me, who asked you to contact me? After a brief explanation, Hatake Sakumo's gaze suddenly turned cold. Although I don't want to do anything to the child, if it threatens the village, I will consider it. Hearing this, Li Chuan suddenly laughed. Master White Fang, are you kidding me? Don't you think that's contradictory? For the safety of the village, you dare to attack even a child like me. Then why did you save your companions during the mission? Is the life of your companion more important than the safety of the village? That's different. Hatake Sakumo retorted with his eyes suddenly widened. Those people are my brothers who have been through thick and thin with me. What about me? I am a child of Konoha. Li Chuan raised his doubts. There are too many suspicious points about you. I don't trust you. And I think your master is probably a spy, or maybe you yourself are a spy. The slightly drunk Hatake Sakumo shook his head and subconsciously grasped the White Fang short sword behind him. Haha, searched so hard with a look of sudden realization, Li Chuan shook his head helplessly. It turned out to be like this. People misunderstand his strength because he has a mysterious master teaching him. And the identity of this spy. But this idea is quite reasonable in the Hokage world. After all, when Kabuto Yakushi was a little older than him, he was working as a spy. Taking a deep breath, he stretched out his hand. Senior, you are worrying too much about this. Senior White Fang, how about a duel with me? Let's see who can push the other person's hand back first. Li Quan's move made Hatake Sakumo frown. Then, he loosened his grip on the White Fang short sword and moved his palm forward. Just a child. Even if this kid has some ability, even if he is a little drunk now. But he is still confident that he can solve it easily. Hatake Sakumo wanted to see what the kid in front of him was trying to do. Reached out and held Li Quan's hand. In an instant, his eyes suddenly widened and he looked at the small hand in disbelief. What a great strength. Senior White Fang, let me tell you a story. With a slight smile, Li Quan began to speak on his own. Once upon a time there lived a pair of ninja brothers. One day while on a mission, the pair of good brothers suddenly faced a choice. They were in danger from which they could not escape. There must be someone who steps forward to help the other students and their teachers. In this way, other people in the team can evacuate safely. But in the end, the sunny one of the pair of good brothers stood up. As a result, the first person to step forward gained huge benefits. Became the leader of a village. From then on, an indelible rift developed between his brother and this brother. Wait, are you talking about third generation in Denzo? Hearing this, Hatake Sakumo suddenly frowned. He had heard the story of these two people. But what does this have to do with Li Quan looking for me? Senior White Fang, have you ever heard of this saying? Some people are born to be bathed in the sun and become leaves in the sun. And some people are suitable to be roots that absorb nutrients in the dark soil. Looking at Hatake Sakumo, Li Quan saw two more changes in power in his hands. One is extremely strong and domineering, while the other is as gentle as a spring breeze. Hatake Sakumo was seen lost in thought. Li Quan continued to change the strength of his hands and talked about the previous topic. These are some of the past events that happened between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Denzo, and some of the things they said. Shaking his head slightly, looking at Hatake Sakumo who had been pushed down, Li Quan withdrew his hand. But you have to know that leaves will wither one day, and roots will decay one day. But these two people don't seem to be satisfied now. The roots want to become leaves, and the leaves want to grow forever, but there is a new sapling next to it, snatching away the nutrients and sunlight. That's all I have to say. Finally, I would like to remind you, seniors, that when you encounter something, you should be more flexible. Seniors, please experience the power of hardness and softness. You should know that you are never alone. Li Quan stood up and stretched, then glanced at Hatake Sakumo who had already understood, and smiled with satisfaction. Hatake Sakumo is a smart man. This person probably had never thought about this kind of thing before. But after his reminder this time, it seems that I already know what happened recently. Senior, I won't bother you anymore. Goodbye. Back home. Li Quan used his red hands as usual and tried to practice his body. A feeling of comfort spread throughout the body. Li Quan's eyes suddenly widened. After a month, he finally completed his 21st body training. He thought he had encountered a bottleneck. But looking at his current condition, it is entirely because he consumed too much chi during this body training. Clenching his fists, he laughed happily. Since he can still refine his body, even if he can't draw the lottery, his strength will continue to grow. As long as he can continue to become stronger, he will not be afraid of some unknown risks. When Orochimaru comes back after completing his mission, let him bring his parents back. Although I am not the strongest in Konoha now, I should have no problem protecting myself. Speaking of Konoha's current strongest fighting force. Jiraiya, Uchiha Fugaku, Hatake Sakumo. Who of these three is stronger? It should be Jiraiya. After all, this person has mastered Sage Mode and is a super shadow level powerhouse. With my current combat power, I am still no match for this old man, so it is necessary for me to lie low. But has Jiraiya mastered Sage Mode now? If not, then Hatake Sakumo should be stronger. After all, this person, among the Namikaze Mizumen, is an existence that surpasses the Sunin. Fortunately, we have the will of fire. This idea can be considered as temporarily protecting myself. If I had been born in the Hidden Mist village, I would probably have died. Now, among all the pornography, gambling, and drugs in Konoha, he has not come into contact with the pornography yet. Should he get in touch with it in advance? Chapter 29. At Kakashi's home. Shortly after Li Quan left, Hatake Sakumo put away his soundproofing tools and started drinking alone with a bottle of wine. As a captain of the village's Anbu team, he knows a lot of things. The Anbu led by Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the route led by Shimura Denzo. These two departments have had mission-related dealings with him. But what these two departments do is for the village. The mission that I had carried out before was of great benefit to the village. You can follow Li Quan's suggestion. The failure of this mission was a trap set by the third generation in Denzo, who were afraid that he would become Hokage in the future. With your own character, the final result may be to resign from Anbu and retire. There is even a possibility of suicide. Have you never been alone? Looking at Kakashi's house, Hatake Sakumo smiled self-deprecatingly. If that were the case, he might really leave Kakashi alone to face the world. But what if it isn't? That little devil Li Quan is really scheming. He didn't see it. How did Li Quan see it? Is it because of the hidden master? And that terrifying power? That kind of power of hardness and softness is constantly changing, but even an elite JA nin like me cannot defeat it. Whenever I'm ready to resist. That force seemed like cotton. Although weak, she is still steadfast. That's a power a child can have. But he really didn't see any traces of transformation in disguise. In other words, this child is most likely Li Quan. Work around. Muttering these two words, Hatake Sakumo took his last sip of wine and went out. As an elite JA nin, he has his own judgment. He wanted to verify everything Li Quan said personally. He also planned to investigate Li Quan's identity thoroughly. If it is true, then he will no longer work for the village. Furthermore, the third generation in Danzo had better not target Kakashi. Better not. The second day, Li Quan went to school as usual. After learning that Hong Xiao could continue to refine his body, he had been urging Hong Xiao to refine his body whenever he was awake. As for what a bear may said, he was totally too lazy to listen. Chakra extraction technique, exactly the same as what his ninja parents left behind. I guess I'll have to wait until I graduate to learn better things from the teacher JA nin. But even so, the high-end stuff is in the hands of those big families. If you want to improve, it is more practical to participate in lottery. Come to think of it, I haven't been to a handmade shop for a long time. Go check it out after your school. By the way, isn't Tsunade the director of the ninja hospital? During this period of time, maybe I could find a way to use red hand from Tsunade and make some money. It's also possible to win a small prize. His eyes lit up and Li Quan immediately became energetic. Then he calmly waited for the afternoon physical training class. At the same time, after a night of investigation, there was already a hint of solemnity in Hatake Sakumo's eyes. Anbu and the Root were surprisingly much more alert than usual. Who are you guarding against? Who is such a big threat that can make these two departments react so strongly? This is in Konoha village. Not to mention that there is a layer of barriers outside the village. Even within the village, there are hundreds of JA nin masters. Is there any war recently that requires such a big move? Defending against your own people. And it is very likely that he is just defending himself. Hiding in the street, listening to people's discussions, Hatake Sakumo's eyes kept changing. Even after Li Quan's advice yesterday, he no longer cared much. But these slanderous voices still made him very uncomfortable. Have you heard that? It is said that White Fang deliberately failed the mission. I respected him so much, but he gave up the mission just to save people, causing the village to suffer such a huge blow in vain. Suddenly, two people talking about him caught Hatake Sakumo's attention. This breath. There is no mistake, these are the two root ninjas that I have seen before. Danzo was really involved in this matter. He clenched his fists, and a nameless fire appeared in his eyes. He fought for the village for so many years, and the village treated him like this. It's really FG excessive. The body kept shaking. Several blue veins had already bulged on his forehead. But after thinking about the word flexibility that Li Quan said, his mood gradually calmed down. Experience the balance of hard and soft forces. Does that little guy want to calm down now and not get too excited? This attitude and thinking towards life. Hiss, that boy is such a monster. He, an adult, almost fell into this trap, but that kid actually saw through the conspiracy. And he even dared to come over and remind him. Not only his mentality and thinking, but also his courage and strength are first class. Is this really something a 5-year-old child can do? Come to think of it, that kid's ability should be at the level of a movie star. But fortunately, he was a child from the village. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for the village. Who raised this child? Could it be that he was spotted by an immortal just like Jiraiya? If that's the case, this child's master is probably the legendary Six Paths. It seems that Kakashi needs to have more contact with Li Quan in the future. Thinking about Hatake Sakumo returned home. Just as he was hitting the gate of opening, a familiar face appeared in front of him. It was the companion that he had to give up the mission to save. Have you recovered yet? Looking at this junior whom he regarded as his younger brother, Hatake Sakumo smiled rarely. He had to bear all the depression he had endured these days in order to save his companion. This companion is now out of danger. Then the family of this companion should be very happy. However, this companion had a look of anger on his face. The moment he saw Hatake Sakumo, he rushed over, grabbed Hatake Sakumo's shoulders, and asked loudly, "Why save me? Why? You are my brother and my companion. I didn't want to give up the mission, but I didn't want to give up on you even more." Facing the question from his companion, Hatake Sakumo simply hugged him. But the next moment, this person pushed Hatake Sakumo away. Caught off guard, Hatake Sakumo was pushed to the ground. The mission failed, why don't you just die? You shouldn't have saved me, you shouldn't have. As if he had gone mad, this man looked at Hatake Sakumo with disgust and laughed crazily. Before Hatake Sakumo could react, the man actually took out a kunai and stabbed Hatake Sakumo. If you don't know, this is someone else's plan. I'm afraid Hatake Sakumo won't even try to dodge this attack. But now, although he wanted to hide, he only moved slightly. The kunai pierced into his tactical vest and also into his chest. If he had moved just a few centimeters, the incoming kunai would have pierced his heart. This also made Hatake Sakumo realize that the companion in front of him really wanted to kill him. The heart became extremely cold. Hatake Sakumo slapped him. Paw. Following a loud noise, a look of fear suddenly appeared in the man's eyes. I'm not. Roll. What greeted him was a roar from Hotaki Sakumo. At this moment, Hotaki Sakumo regretted it. He actually used genjutsu on his companions, causing them to kill him. If it weren't for Li Quan's reminder, he would have survived just now. Given his personality, when Kakashi returns home today, he will probably see the scene of his suicide. Third generation, Danzo, this move of yours is so vicious. Chapter 30. Inside the ninja school, in the afternoon. Physical education classes are normally conducted on the playground. As the one with strong physical skills in the class, Li Quan quickly completed the physical training assigned by Tsunade. Then he found Tsunade comfortably. Super strong girl, let me discuss something with you. You little pervert, are you looking for death? Although it had been more than a month since she heard this name, Tsunade had already gotten used to it. But she still couldn't help herself and punched Li Quan on the head. However, Tsunade made a sad discovery. It's still me who's hurting. This left Tsunade speechless. She was very clear about how terrifying her own power was. Ever since she discovered that this little pervert's body was different from that of an ordinary person a month ago, she would look for opportunities to test him from time to time. But this month, every time she was really angry and wanted to teach this kid a lesson, she was the one who suffered. At first, this little pervert would hide for a while. But later he found that after being able to withstand his punches, this pervert didn't even try to dodge. The most important thing is that the power of my punch can't be transmitted to the ground to cause damage. This is really scary. What Tsunade didn't know was that this effect was achieved thanks to the power of Tai Chi. There is another reason why Li Quan did not hide. He was surprised to find that after being beaten hard, the Tai Chi could actually help him strengthen his body. If you can become stronger by getting beaten, why not do it? Okay, beautiful sister Tsunade, please don't be angry. I really have something and I want to ask you for help. Oh, that's strange. Looking at Li Quan's serious eyes, Tsunade sneered. It's been more than a month, and I really thought you were incorrigible. How could that be possible? Any man would be melted by such passion. On the side, Li Quan looked somewhere with a smile. Go away, are you a man? Don't push your luck, you pervert. If you didn't look a bit like my brother, I would beat you to death. Well. Li Quan curled his lips speechlessly. This is the reason every time. How are I similar to Rope Tree? However, the other little boys had flames of jealousy in their eyes when they saw Li Quan having an intimate conversation with Tsunade. At this moment, Asuma Sarutobi angrily spoke ill of Li Quan in front of Yahai Kurane. Hong, look at this. Li Quan is a pervert. You should stop playing with Li Quan in the future. Humph, Li Quan-kun told me that he had something serious to do with Lady Tsunade, not because he was lustful. Yahai Kurane turned his head away, not wanting to pay much attention to Asuma. Even so, she still looked over there unconsciously out of the corner of her eye. Watching the two of them talking and laughing. A sense of crisis suddenly arose in Hong's heart. But she soon felt relieved. There is such a huge age gap between Lady Tsunade and Li Quan-kun, so it must be me who will be with Li Quan-kun in the end. But then her eyes turned to the other little girls. It seems like I have too many opponents. No Hararin, Kato Shizuan. And there is Haigasya who recently became friends with Li Quan. Oh my, why is Li Quan so popular with girls? A look of worry appeared on her face in Hong's side. At the same time, Tsunade showed a surprised expression. No, you want to work in a ninja hospital. I know you have a unique medical method, but ninjas get injured in all kinds of ways. How effective is your method? If you really need money, I can lend it to you. There's no need to do this, right? Frowning, Tsunade pinched Li Quan's cheeks and then rubbed them. After confirming that Li Quan's face is purely natural, she suddenly smiled and asked, are you not afraid of being exposed this time? Sister Tsunade, will you let me be exposed? Li Quan rubbed his face helplessly, feeling somewhat resentful. This woman rubs her face all the time, is she sick? But he glanced around. There is a special energy around here, isolating it from the outside world. Is it to control one's own chakra to form a barrier to block the propagation of sound? It seems that I can also use chi to imitate this method. As for exposure? He was just planning to use Red Hand's healing abilities to make a little money. It's not like all of Red Hand's abilities are exposed. A quick cure that can be mistaken for special medical ninjutsu at best. And after spending a month together, he still believed in Tsunade, this smart woman. This is a woman with her own opinions. Moreover, this woman also has her own selfish desires. After seeing his abilities, the woman is unlikely to reveal them to others. If it's not exposed, there's no danger at all. Just give him some more time to continue growing. It won't be a big deal if it's exposed one day in the future. And with the foundation of the Senjo clan, he might be able to use Tsunade to start some businesses of his own. After all, it is too slow to make money by one person alone. More than half a month had passed since Orochimaru went on a mission. But till now, he still hasn't come back. Building your own business empire is the fastest way to make money. But the premise of all this is that he can show his ability in front of Tsunade. Okay, I'll arrange it. On the side, Tsunade thought for a long time and nodded. Konoha's ninja hospital is the property of her Senjo clan. The medical system was also gradually improved by her over the years. Although she lost all her fortune in gambling over the years, but the ninja hospital still provides her with income. However, in the ninja hospital, members of several major Konoha clans have been unruly recently. My income has been a little less in the past 2 years. Perhaps with the help of Li Chuan, I can help solve the problems in the ninja hospital. I'll take you to the ninja hospital in a few days. After dark, the other side. Hatake Sakumo, who had been sitting in the room for a long time, stood up. The physical injuries, although serious, were not fatal. Plus he also has some medical knowledge. After a simple bandage, nothing will happen for the time being. He was not going to go to the ninja hospital. That would expose the fact that he was seriously injured, thus affecting the big things he was planning to do later. And now, he is preparing to meet Li Chuan. The big things he does next are likely to put Kakashi in danger. There must be someone in the village who is capable of protecting Kakashi after he disappears and who he can trust. That leaves only this one, the disciple of the Sage of Six Paths. After school. After saying goodbye to the beautiful girls, Li Chuan returned home alone. During this month, his investigative capabilities have also improved significantly. No way. Every time he sought out Orochimaru for sparring, or for red hand training, he would always make sure that no one was watching. But in recent days, it seemed that after confirming that there was nothing special about him, the secret surveillance gaze had not appeared for a long time. But at the moment of gate opening, Li Quan's palm stiffened slightly. Then he happily opened the door. The furnishings had hardly changed. That is, there is a smell of blood. Drawing the curtains, he imitated Tsunade and used his chi to form a barrier around the room. It doesn't seem difficult. I succeeded in one go. Who, come out. Sensing the airflow behind him, Li Chuan threw a backhand punch. However, when he saw the person coming, he suddenly stopped swinging his fist. Senior White Fang, are you injured? Hatake Sakumo nodded reluctantly. But suddenly, his face turned a little paler. How come the chakra in my body is out of my control at this moment? There was doubt in his eyes, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Phew, as a mouthful of blood spurted out, Hatake Sakumo's legs suddenly went limp. I didn't expect that Kunao was actually poisonous. Chapter 31. Inside the hut. Li Chuan used his chi to wrap the blood floating in front of him, and helplessly hugged Hatake Sakumo who was lying in front of him. What is all this? Just come, don't bring trouble, okay? Severe injury and poisoning. It's not a simple matter at first glance. He also had no idea what the specific situation was now. What should he do if he gets into trouble later that he can't solve now? Subconsciously glanced at the surrounding environment. Li Chuan felt relieved for the time being. His perception and vision did not detect the surveillance. It seems that Hatake Sakumo didn't bring the tale over. Ahem, I didn't expect that you would use poison to kill me. Being held by Li Chuan and sitting on the sofa, Hatake Sakumo's eyes looked a little empty. He really couldn't figure out what he had done wrong. Over the years, he has risked his life for the village. During the Second Ninja War, he went deep into the Sand Village and killed Scorpion's parents, laying the foundation for Konoha's victory. But in the end, he died at the hands of his own people. How ironic. Li Chuan, I might be dying. Can you please help me take care of Kakashi? Senior White Fang, I'm just a child. You asked me to take care of Kakashi's ice cube, right? Li Chuan stood up in silence and threw the ball of poisonous blood wrapped in chi into the sink. Then he looked at Hatake Sakumo, who seemed to be breathing in more than out. With him around, it won't be easy for Hatake Sakumo to die today. But he had to know what was going on first. With Hatake Sakumo's strength, how many people in Konoha can be hurt? But before Li Chuan could speak, Hatake Sakumo smiled bitterly and shook his head. Please, please help me. You are the only person I can trust now. Tisk tisk, you. Li Chuan shook his head. If you care so much about your son, why do you have thoughts of suicide? As he said this, he raised his hand and pressed it on Hatake Sakumo's chest. And a red light lit up in the palm of his hand. Not long after, Li Chuan withdrew his hands. You should take care of Kakashi yourself. Tell me the details first. After I know everything, I will decide whether to save you or not. Sitting next to him, Li Chuan stretched himself. Now is a good opportunity to conquer Hatake Sakumo. He is not a saint. He saved Hatake Sakumo for nothing. He is not that kind. On the sofa. I feel that my injuries have recovered partially. The poisoning condition was also alleviated a little. Hatake Sakumo's eyes suddenly widened. Then an indescribable hope filled his eyes. There is still hope for yourself. What is the origin of this child named Li Chuan? What level of medical ninjutsu is this that can even cure a special poison like root? It seems that my guess is true. However, Li Quan's master might not be the Sage of Six Paths, but the Sage Katsuyu of the Wetbone Forest. No wonder Li Chuan has been so close to Tsunade recently. Ahem, thank you very much. After saying thank you, he began to tell what happened. Listen to everything. Li Chuan suddenly thought of himself. Hatake Sakumo talked a lot. From accepting the mission to the assassination of the previous companions, almost nothing was missed. But the key is, there is a problem with the time of dispatching tasks. During that time, he was thinking every day about how to get rid of the secret surveillance. Then suddenly one day, all the surveillance disappeared. From the looks of it, it seems that those people who were secretly monitoring him were setting up a trap for Hatake Sakumo. However, it is difficult to design a strong person with the strength of a shadow without revealing any flaws. It seems reasonable to use so many people. If this is true, then I will most likely continue to be monitored in the next few days. Senior White Fang, are you interested in helping me do something in secret? You? Li Quan, are you sure you're not kidding me? Hatake Sakumo looked confused. Li Quan's words almost made him suspect that his ears were broken. A little brat, actually wants him to help with something? Although this little brat's identity is very special. Although this little brat is also extremely powerful. But, he is just a little kid after all. He, Konoha White Fang, no, he, Hatake Sakumo, also has his own pride. Even his life is still in the hands of this little brat. He didn't have much idea and just followed the orders of this little brat. He has done a lot of missions, and he has plenty of money. At worst, he can use the money to buy his life. Now, he just wants to be White Fang, his own White Fang. When he was on the verge of death, he thought a lot. Before Kakashi grows up, he has to provide a roof over Kakashi's head. Therefore, the big thing in his mind cannot be done for the time being. Senior, I'm not kidding you. Shaking his head slightly, Li Quan rubbed his fingers. Calling you senior is a sign of respect for you. To be honest, with my current fighting power, you may not be my opponent. As he said this, his sharp gaze met Hatake Sakumo's pupils. Besides, don't you want revenge? Senior, why don't you think about it? If you die now, what will happen to Kakashi? Given Kakashi's talent, in some people's eyes, it's a good unpolished sword. Why else do you think I have been hiding? One person's power is limited after all. I am not at the point where I can ignore the advantage of numbers. So, I don't want to be too aggressive. But Kakashi is different. He's too dazzling now, isn't he? At this point, Hatake Sakumo took over the conversation. However, both of them fell silent. Fight with me. If you win, I'll obey you. But if you lose, there's no need to discuss anything. I'll just go into seclusion afterwards. After a long while, Hatake Sakumo said solemnly. Senior, you are such a thief. Li Quan shook his finger and looked at Hatake Sakumo with a smile. A fight is a fight. But judging from his expression, it was obvious that he wanted to have a fair fight with him. Then this treatment. As expected of the person who invented the secret technique of millennium killing, this is such a shameless person, I admire you so much. Ah ha ha ha, what are you talking about, little brat? Hatake Sakumo was not at all embarrassed about having his plan discovered. Quite the opposite. He was very happy at this moment. If Li Quan were older, perhaps the two of them would have become good friends with similar interests. Unexpectedly, Li Quan also knew the 1000-year killing technique. And I don't feel disgusted. But how did this little brat know this? 2 days later. Hatake Sakumo, dressed in white, suddenly caused a storm in Konoha village. And there was a long banner on his body. Please give me justice. Those 5 big characters expressed the anger and unwillingness in his heart. And in the streets and alleys of Konoha, countless pieces of paper were floating in the air. It contains many details about his failed mission this time, as well as some speculations. Then, a shocking battle broke out in an area behind the Hokage rock. A huge toad appeared in front of everyone. Li Quan, who was taking a break after class, suddenly widened his eyes when he saw the papers floating down from the sky. Damn it, this guy Hatake Sakumo doesn't play by the rules. He just beat this guy up 2 days ago, and this guy did this to him? This is going to shake the foundation of Konoha. I'm afraid that after today, Danzo will have to be quiet for a long time. Anyway, the 3rd generation cannot take the blame. Suddenly, Li Quan's eyes widened. AXI, Lao Zi's 500,000 taels. Hatake Sakumo, you dog, Lao Zi's money hasn't been received yet. If you dare to take Lao Zi's money, you are done. Chapter 32. Watching the battle taking place in the area behind the mountain. Li Quan's face became darker and darker. In fact, what he is most worried about now is not the money issue. If you lose money, you can earn it again. But if Hatake Sakumo makes such a big fuss to clear his name, many things may change. Will Kakashi enter Envyu in the future? After graduation, Kakashi and Obito were no longer in the same class. How will Uchiha Madara, who is secretly watching Obito, plot against Obito? The Battle of Konobe Bridge that followed. Thinking of this, Li Quan felt a headache. The big event that happened to the Hokage really changed him a bit. Without Obito, Black Zetsu's plan to save his mother by using nesting dolls would most likely not succeed. He didn't know a lot of things that happened after that. However, for the fool Obito, after he started to cheat, he was not going to let him become Madara's puppet. There are so many people in the Uchiha clan, so it is not difficult to find someone who can use the Sharingan. Let's take it one step at a time. Shaking his head helplessly, Li Quan suddenly tilted his head. Hey, Supergirl. You. Tsunade withdrew her hand that was about to pinch Li Quan's face. Staring at Li Quan, Tsunade felt an indescribable depression. Shengshu would never call himself that. However, this little pervert is somewhat similar to Shengshu. If she really wanted to beat him, she wouldn't be willing to do it. Forget it. I am already an old man, why would I get angry with a child? Pick up the paper on the ground. Tsunade was quickly attracted by the content. Then her expression became uncertain. If what is said above is true, then she would have to think carefully about what to do next. Because he was too popular, he was directly suppressed, and even used genjutsu to let his companions assassinate Hatake Sakumo. My teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen and that dark Danzo Shimura are really irrelevant. At this moment, Tsunade thought a lot, and her thoughts were very complicated. Some are about the Senjo clan, and some are about the Uzumaki clan. There are also some that are about the two people closest to me. Kato Dan and Rope Tree. Is the death of these two people really that simple? To tell you her purpose of staying in Konoha. Investigating the real cause of death of the two people is one of them. Subconsciously glancing at Li Chuan, Tsunade suddenly understood why this pervert tried so hard to hide himself. If she wasn't the princess of the Senjo clan, the granddaughter of the first generation, and wasn't accepted as a disciple by Sarutobi Hiruzen, I'm afraid I'll suffer an unexpected accident too. Sister Tsunade, the fight is so intense, Jiraiya has even taken action, don't you want to go over and take a look? On the side, Li Chuan looked over curiously. You actually knew that was Jiraiya? Tsunade was a little surprised, but then shook her head. There's no need to go. Looking into the distance in silence, she continued, besides, it would be useless for me to go. Hatake Sakumo's strength is so great that even if my master, the third generation, takes action personally, it will take a lot of effort to defeat him. Oh? Is the third generation so powerful? This time Li Chuan frowned. In his impression, the third generation was quite weak, but judging from what Tsunade said, the third generation seemed to be stronger than Jiraiya. Among all the Hokages, my great-grandfather and second-grandfather's strength far surpassed the cage level of other villages. My teacher, although inferior to my two grandfathers, is one of the best in terms of combat power among all the ninja villages. At least better than me now. Tsunade looked towards the back mountain solemnly. There, the fighting continues. But it looks like it's gradually coming to an end. Li Chuan narrowed his eyes and thought about his next strategy. According to what Tsunade said, he would have to re-evaluate Sarutobi Hiruzen's combat effectiveness. That makes sense. When Orochimaru overthrew Konoha, this guy was able to fight back even against the incomplete first generation and second Hokage. If he wasn't too old and had insufficient information, maybe at that time, this guy could really get rid of Orochimaru. The battle was over soon. 2 more days passed. In the past 2 days, many people's eyes have been on Hatake Kakashi. Hatake Sakumo defected. And he had good reasons for his defection. With all the publicity on paper, even if the third generation and Danzo had their own intentions, they let Anbu and root personnel operate behind the scenes. There is no way to stop everyone from talking. In order to continue to be Hokage, he actually planned to kill the heroes in the village. Public opinion suddenly turned polarized. Anbu discovered that Hatake Sakumo colluded with other villages and became a spy for them. Although the announcement said so, not everyone is a fool. Is there anyone who defected from the village and left his son behind as a hostage? At this moment, the previous negative news actually confirmed the authenticity of the news on the paper. After all, everyone knows Hatake Sakumo's character. For the sake of your companions, you can give up the mission. But in the end, it turned out to be the village's plan. If the situation were to happen to them, they would probably act more radically than Hatake Sakumo. And the final result? Without a doubt, Danzo once again became the guy to take the blame. Regarding Konoha White Fang, it was Anbu's fault for the investigation. Anbu Minister Shimura Danzo has resigned today. How to say it? When seeing this sentence, Li Chuan almost laughed. Although Anbu is led by Shimura Danzo on the surface, the actual person in charge is Sarutobi Hiruzen. Moreover, the specific content of these 2 announcements did not mention anything about the root cause. Under this series of operations, Sarutobi Hiruzen actually completely removed himself in front of everyone. This made Li Chuan admire him. Sarutobi Hiruzen's political ability is truly amazing. In this situation, he can actually clear himself. Awesome. But Li Chuan is not interested. He really doesn't understand politics. When he was asked to deal with the rebellious ninjas in the village, his first thought was to suppress them by force. However, he would never do such a thing as harming a genius. And now, Li Chuan was watching Kakashi secretly. Ever since that day when Hatake Sakumo went berserk, he has been keeping an eye on Kakashi's safety. Hatake Sakumo agreed to his request and started to work for him. Although he didn't know where this guy had gone. But he and Hatake Sakumo reached an agreement. By the way, everyone after Hatake Sakumo was his subordinate. As for Hatake Kakashi, he will still protect him. In the past few days, Li Chuan has secretly knocked out 4 or 5 waves of ninjas who came to kidnap him. These people are probably either Enbu or members of the root. At this moment, Li Chuan also understood Hatake Sakumo's thoughts. This guy is actually testing my character. The one in the dark, watching Kakashi intentionally or unintentionally, should be Hatake Sakumo. These adults are really scheming. Helplessly watching Kakashi return home, Li Chuan stood guard outside the house. Not long after, he suddenly looked back and saw a man walking on the street. This man was wearing a light green tactical vest. In his hand, he was holding a box. Li Chuan, I was right about you. No, my friend, is there anyone who would cheat the boss like you? Li Chuan looked over there with some depression. This guy went out to hang out on his own and disrupted his plans. Now he is showing up in the village openly. What will happen if he is discovered? This is the boss's reward for your hard work. Hatake Sakumo smiled and raised the suitcase in his hand. Then he continued, I have an agreement with the third generation. From now on, you don't have to worry about Kakashi's safety, boss. Also, I will be working for the boss outside the village later. If you have any instructions, boss, just use the ninja tools in the box and contact me directly. No, you still believe in the third generation? Li Chuan asked with some doubt. But Hotaki Sakumo shook his head. It's not a question of whether I believe him or not, it's a question of whether he dares to do it. After all, no one can modify the village's barriers now. Chapter 33. What's the meaning? Li Chuan was a little confused when he heard what Hotaki Sakumo said. However, he had some guesses in his mind. The village's barriers were created by the first and second Hokage, and Uchiha Madara. There is no ninja in the village who can match these three. Once the barriers are overhauled, the village will only be in greater danger. To put it simply, I can return to Konoha at any time. After explaining, Hotaki Sakumo handed the box in his hand to Li Chuan. My money has other uses for the time being. There's 1 million here, and the extra 500,000, boss, please take care of Kakashi. As he spoke, he looked towards the house, a hint of reluctance flashing in his eyes. Hey, why don't you listen to me? Li Chuan shook his head helplessly. After he beat up Hotaki Sakumo, the two reached an agreement. Hotaki Sakumo later worked for him secretly, and he helped Hotaki Sakumo to redress the injustice he had suffered. But you need to wait for a while. After all, he is getting stronger very quickly. Within 1 or 2 years, Li Chuan is confident that he will be invincible in Konoha village. When the time comes, just suppress it directly. But now it happens. He didn't know what to do next. As long as he doesn't die instantly, I can save him, but my business. Don't worry, boss, I didn't tell him about this. Hotaki Sakumo smiled. He stretched himself lazily, taking a last look at the light in the room. Let Kakashi misunderstand for a while. The child lived very well under his protection. After experiencing some darkness, you should be able to grow better. By the way, why did Li Chuan let him join the newly emerged Akatsuki organization? Hidden Rain Village. Orochimaru was walking alone on the street. After the end of World War II, in addition to preparing to cultivate 8 Tails cells, the first 8 Tails Jinchuriki was killed. Orochimaru hasn't left the village for a long time. If he hadn't had no money to do research this time, he really didn't want to go out. And the mission he accepted this time was in the Hidden Rain Village, which made him even more reluctant. Who the hell knows what the hell is Hanzo doing now? He was frightened by this guy who was called Demigod. But soon, his eyes were filled with hope. Before leaving, Li Chuan showed him a trick. That mysterious technique actually solved part of the problem of Hashirama's cell fusion that he encountered in his research. But Li Chuan obviously had some reservations. This young master, it seems like he still doesn't trust himself. But he doesn't really trust Li Chuan. Becoming a disciple is just a temporary solution. He couldn't win the fight, but he didn't want to die, so it was actually good to maintain this state for the time being. Until he gained eternal life. As long as he can't be killed, he will dare to attack even the Sage of Six Paths. Just as Orochimaru was thinking wildly. His attention was suddenly drawn to a figure. Anbu? No, this aura is from a member of the Root. There are members of the Root of Konoha in the Hidden Rain Village. What is this old man Shimura Denzo planning to do? The doubt flashed across his mind and he immediately followed. Now his mission has been completed and he is preparing to return to the village. So Orochimaru had plenty of time. Soon, he saw the ninja sneaking into a thatched hut. He also saw 2 familiar figures. Where have you seen it before? It seems that these 2 people are classmates from the same grade as him. What's the name? It seems his surname is Li. This surname is rare in the village. Otherwise, he really has no impression. Inside the thatched hut. At this moment, Li Taei and Li Aili were cooking and reading a book respectively. Li Aili, whose real name is Miyashita Aili. However, due to certain traditions of small countries, married women usually take their husband's surname. So she changed her name too. Honey, how long have we been away from home? A plate of food was brought to Li Taei. Li Aili, who looked very intellectual and gentle, sat down at the table and looked at the very tall man in front of her. Across from him, Li Taei, who was wearing glasses, had a glimpse of reminiscence in his eyes. It's been almost 2 years. Putting down the book, Li Taei held his lover's hand. Dear, in 3 years, we should be able to save enough money, and by then, we will be able to cure Xiao Chuan. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the corridor of the house. Li Taei and his wife were immediately startled and took out a kunao that had some scratches on it. Who is it? Master Denso, please return to the village. The masked man said in a somewhat cold tone. As he spoke, the masked man took out a special token used by ninjas in Konoha village to recognize each other. We are on a spy mission. Looking at the token, Li Taei frowned. The token is real. But the spy mission is an A-level mission related to the village or the country. How could I give up on this kind of mission so easily? And the masked man's attitude is problematic. Also, why was it Shimura Denzo's order? Shouldn't it be the Hokage's order to end the mission? Humph. I didn't do it directly because you are from the village, and Lord Denzo needs you, don't be so shameless. Looking at the 2 alert people, the masked man's aura suddenly turned cold. And his powerful chakra suddenly exploded at this moment. For a moment, all the things in the room were blown all over the place by the invisible airflow. J.A. Nin. Li Aili exclaimed. On the side, Li Taei's expression changed drastically. It's over, Shimura Denzo is targeting them. Just as the 2 of them looked gloomy, a brown-gray snake instantly coiled around the masked man's neck. In the blink of an eye, the masked man was offline. Old classmates, long time no see, how are you? Inside Konoha village. Li Chuan has returned home. He had no idea what was happening in the Hidden Rain village. But now, he finally doesn't have to protect Kakashi anymore. In order to protect Kakashi these days, those people who were secretly watching him should have noticed something unusual. If this continued, he was actually ready to give up protecting Kakashi. Your own safety is the most important thing. Li Chuan doesn't want to get himself involved since he hasn't grown up yet. Behind him, there are no big Konoha clans like Uchiha and Hyuga. With no one to protect him, the only one he can rely on now is himself. He shook his head slightly, throwing away the complicated thoughts from his mind. Li Chuan looked at the suitcase on the table. Then a look of joy appeared on his face. A full 1 million. With this 1 million, my strength will be increased in the future. This made him feel a little more at ease. 1 million, a ninja S-level mission, the lowest reward. What good things can I get with so much money? You may not be able to draw the heaven-defying skills like the 8 great techniques. But I should be able to draw Wu Ho Chi Men and Jin Guangzhu. But then, Li Chuan was in a dilemma. Last time I won a lottery, I spent all my money at once because I was a little excited. But he is not very clear about what exactly can be drawn from the system. The amount of money determines the level of the reward items. He now only knew that the system could draw skills and proficiency, and that system tasks could reward cultivation. But he had no idea about the different levels of rewards. Just as he thought before. The uncertainty of the lottery is too great. So there are 2 choices before him. One is to just go all in and leave it to fate. The second is to use this 1 million to conduct careful experiments and figure out the rules of the system's lottery. After that, you can draw the lottery based on the situation and your needs. Chapter 34. Hokage's office. Clang, the door was thrown open suddenly. The furious Shimura Denzo, with his whole body full of chakra energy, continued to wreak havoc. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen sitting at his desk, the muscles on his face became distorted. This shameless guy reacts too quickly. He hadn't noticed yet that this guy had already started public relations. In just 2 days, this hypocrite completely removed himself. Then they pushed him out again and made him take the blame. He still underestimated how shameless Hiruzen was. Hiruzen, won't you give me an explanation for what happened this time? Do you need further explanation? Sitting at his desk, Sarutobi Hiruzen just looked at the documents in front of him calmly without looking up. After writing a few words on the document, only then did he look up and stare at Shimura Denzo. Why did you hire someone to attack Hitaki Sakumo? Hehe, why do you say that? With one eye narrowed, Shimura Denzo's aura became even stronger. But there was suddenly some fear in his eyes. After so many years, he really had no idea how strong Hiruzen was. If he were to fight, he wasn't sure he could win. If you don't take action, how can Hitaki Sakumo rebel? And since you have taken action, why don't you solve it thoroughly? With his fists clenched, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes flashed with anger. He gets angry just talking about it. According to his plan, Hitaki Sakumo should have committed suicide by now. But after Denzo did this, things changed completely. Public opinion is a double-edged sword. If he hadn't handled it in time this time, I'm afraid his career as Hokage has come to an end. A hole. Are you blaming me? Shimura Denzo slapped the desk. However, this slap was clearly restrained and did not break the table. It was obviously you who started it first. I just helped you, but what about you? You put all the blame on me, do you still have any shame? I am the Hokage, the leaf under the sun of Konoha. For the safety of Konoha, I must do this. Speaking calmly, Sarutobi Hiruzen also stood up. If the teacher were alive, he would support me. Facing Denzo's gaze, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not retreat at all. There was a stalemate for a moment. The momentum of the 2 men relaxed almost at the same time. This is a tacit understanding that belongs only to the 2 of them. They are all politicians. Shimura Denzo knew very well that Sarutobi Hiruzen had not taken this matter to the extreme. After all, the root has not yet appeared in the public eye, and he is still the leader of the root. But after that, his say in Enview became very limited. But he didn't want to let this matter go easily. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen showed no expression on the surface, he was actually very proud in his heart. After years of brainwashing, even his old rival Denzo was fooled by him. For Konoha? Haha, that's because he can bring more benefits to the village's top leaders. As long as the benefits are enough, he can continue to be the Hokage. The taste of power is not something that can be given up just like that. Let Denzo continue to be in charge of the root. Various kinds of pots in the future are still waiting. Hehehe, if he really didn't completely break up with her, what was the reason? Isn't it just to continue to maintain this bright image? However, there is still a big problem in the matter of Hitaki Sakumo. He knew very well Denzo's attitude towards doing things. This guy will do anything to the extreme. Using my companions to assassinate Hitaki Sakumo should not fail. Why, Hitaki Sakumo is still alive. They spoke almost at the same time. However, after some pushing and shoving, it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who raised the question first. So, someone is secretly helping Seiki Sakumo? Denzo asked doubtfully. Tsunade. It's unlikely that I'm a student like you. Tsunade doesn't have much of a relationship with the White Fang. Shaking his head slightly, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a few puffs of his pipe. An exchange of information ensued. Both of them had an additional guess in their minds. There is a powerful medical ninja in the village. The poison in the roots is not so easy to detoxify. And to be able to do this, that person might have a lot to do with Tsunade. By the way, what did you want to say before? I want Kakashi to join the roots. Impossible. Hatake Sakumo is still alive. The best Kakashi can do is join Anbu. Then I will train you. Come together, but stay still for a while, don't touch Kakashi, and wait for my arrangements. Sarutobi Hiruzen said after a moment of silence. It's time to back off. Otherwise Danzo might lose control. And Hatake Sakumo just said that Hatake Kakashi cannot be hurt. But his most powerful ability is not his hard power, but his soft knife. After being brainwashed for a period of time, Kakashi should become a staunch supporter of the will of fire, just like Li Quan. By then, Kakashi will still be his knife. Just like Uchiha Kagami to his own teacher. But Uchiha Kagami's death was somewhat strange. He subconsciously glanced at Danzo and a smile appeared on his face. Don't worry, I will restore your position as Anbu soon. And Danzo just sneered. After recovery, how many people in Anbu will listen to him? Just after the two finished their conversation, the two groups set off, but this time their target was the ninja hospital run by Tsunade. Hiruzen and Danzo didn't want to ignore the people in the dark. Once the village is in chaos, there is no point in continuing to be Hokage. You can't be a commander without troops, right? The other side. Li Quan thought about it at home and finally decided how to use the 1,500,000 yuan for the grand prize, and 500,000 yuan for the items in the experimental system lottery. He had no money before, so he had no choice. Now that I have money, I can resolve my worries. Then he naturally has to turn uncertainties into factors that he can control. Can determine the specific rewards of the system. After that, he can use the system in a targeted manner according to his own shortcomings. In this way, his strength can be improved faster. System, 5,000 per draw, let's try 10 draws first. Ding, the system is drawing a lottery. 10,9, no, can we skip the lottery animation? Complaining in my heart. But seeing that the system did not respond at all, Li Quan sighed speechlessly. Since there is no other way, let's just wait. Ding, congratulations to the host, you got 1 year of cultivation. Ding, congratulations to the host, you got the Tai Chi fusion degree, 1%. As a series of sounds sounded, and characters appeared on the panel. Li Quan's brows twitched uncontrollably. This is all about cultivation and skill integration? And isn't the difference between this lottery and the first one too big? A total of 5 years of cultivation was drawn. Red Hand fusion degree increased by 2%. The integration degree of Tai Chi has increased by 5%. Name, Li Quan. Age, 5 years old. Realm, Diamond Realm. Skills, 1 Red Hand of dual hands, minor mastery, 37%. 2. Wudang Tai Chi, minor proficiency, 30%. Total amount of Chi, 5 cups of water, equivalent to 25 years of cultivation. Task, obtain the title of Genin, to be completed. Looking at all his panel attributes, Li Quan fell into deep thought. Could it be that the lowest level lottery in the system can only draw cultivation proficiency? Or is it because the money spent on the lottery is too little? Also, in the first lottery, was the fusion degree given by the system too high? It couldn't be because of the novice protection period, plus it was the first time I drew the lottery, so I got a lucky hit. Li Quan vaguely felt that he might have guessed right. However, he also roughly figured out the rules of the system's lowest level rewards. Then let's continue. This time, 10,000 yuan for each draw, and then 10 consecutive draws. Chapter 35. Ding, lucky draw, congratulations to the host, you have obtained half a year of cultivation. Bite. As time passed, Li Quan's face gradually darkened. How come this is the same as a certain knife, and it's getting less and less? The reward for the 100,000 taels was that the proficiency of both skills increased by 3%. And his cultivation level also increased by 2 years. There is a problem. Is it because I am unlucky, or do I have to spend more money than before to get good stuff? Or is it that the later stage improvement of cultivation and proficiency is inherently slow? It seems to be the same as what I thought. The uncertainty of the lottery is really great. In that case, if you want to understand the rules of the system, you will spend a lot of money. I guess this 1 million taels is not enough for him to spend. But Li Quan was not disappointed. The bulk of the prize money from this lottery was not from his experiment. But it was the 500,000 he left behind. Still short of money. How to make money next? There are only a few S-level missions in Konoha village throughout the year. The mission that Orochimaru went out of the village to do this time was A rank. The reward for an A-rank ninja mission ranges from 150,000 to 1 million ryo, according to the contents of the Hokage setting book he remembered. Because I acted alone. Orochimaru's reward this time is 400,000 taels. And you also need to buy experimental equipment. It is estimated that by then, he can only get 100,000 taels. Li Quan spent 150,000 taels on the 2 experiments. That little bit of money was not enough for him to continue experimenting with the system. This is very uncomfortable. Looking at the 350,000 taels left after his lottery experiment, Li Quan rubbed his fingers habitually. He now divides the system's rewards into levels according to the ninja missions. I don't know if it's correct, but it shouldn't be much different. If this is the case, then his previous lottery experiment was to obtain a D-level reward. And the low-level rewards seemed to consist of only cultivation and skill integration. Now, the proficiency of his double-handed red hand has reached 40%. If you increase it by 1%, you will reach the Grandmaster level. According to Li Quan's guess, the D-level reward probably won't increase proficiency. As for Tai Chi, I still have a long way to go, so I won't consider it for now. As for the remaining 350,000, he planned to try 30,000 at a time and make 10 consecutive bets. The reward for a C-level ninja mission is between 30,000 and 100,000 taels. I just don't know whether these 30,000 taels are considered a D-level reward or a C-level reward. In short, he is still short of money. It seems that it is urgent to establish my own business. The legendary big fat sheep. Tisk tisk, the sexy figure of Tsunade suddenly appeared in my mind. Li Quan had a vague plan for his next step. System, 30,000 taels per draw, 10 consecutive draws. Ding, congratulations to the host, you have obtained the treasure, the 1,000 blades of the demonic sword bite, following a series of sounds. Li Quan suddenly laughed. Shipment, shipment. It's finally shipped. And it's a big deal. In Assassin Wu Lai Hoki, the national treasure of the Shenduan Kingdom is the magic sword 1,000 blades, which can only attack but not defend. He just said it. How can a novel always fail? How can a gambler always lose? The bad memories of the previous life suddenly came to mind, but were directly suppressed by Li Quan. He didn't want to recall this unknown past life. Ding, the reward has been issued and stored in the system space. The host can use it. It will note, system space can only store items issued by the system. Hearing the voice, Li Quan's thoughts were pulled back. He was not planning to take out the demonic sword 1,000 blades for the time being. There is an evil spirit in this thing. If it gets out of control, his family will probably be ruined. Besides, he doesn't know any knife skills yet, so it will probably take some time for him to become proficient in using it. A brief summary of the rewards for this 10-game draw. Li Quan rubbed his fingers together. It's almost the same as the previous two 10-draw series. Except for the magic sword, everything else is about proficiency. However, the proficiency of Shuangquanchao did not increase. However, the proficiency of Wudang Tai Chi has increased to 40%. In addition, his cultivation level increased by another 3 years. Judging from the situation, this property panel will probably not change for a long time. As for the 550,000 taels on the table, Li Quan thought for a moment and took out 50,000 taels. There is no need to spend these 50,000 taels. Rather than continuing the experiment, it would be better to make his future life better. And it would cost some money to get closer to Yahai Kurane and the others. Then, he looked at the 500,000 in the alley. Finally, it's time to get to the big end. 500,000 taels, within the reward range for A-level ninja missions. Neither high nor low. But that's still 500,000 taels. It's impossible to draw a skill level increase for him, right? That's really bad luck. As Li Quan gave the order in his mind, he waited expectantly. Ding, host has consumed 1.155 million taels of gold in total, surpassing 1 million taels for the first time, triggering a lucky critical strike. Congratulations to the host, you got the 8 wonders, Daluo cave observation, incomplete, skill function, insight, proficiency, 5%, entry level. What the hell? It's this. This is the second of the 8 wonders. There is even a skill introduction. This is a bit heaven-defying. Li Quan didn't know much about the Daluo Dongguan skill. Because Mi-Er has not yet drawn the specific function of this skill. However, after reading this introduction, a strange look appeared in Li Quan's eyes. Insight? The Byakugan of the Haiga clan. Or is there any other function? Daluo cave observation seems to have the ability to see the direction of all things. Simply put, it is similar to fortune-telling, and its specific functions have yet to be developed. Suddenly, Li Quan's eyes lit up. At this moment, he thought of the scene where he imitated Tsunade's use of the sound barrier. If the function of this skill is to observe for now, then can it observe the flow of other people's chakra? If it has a similar effect to the white eyes, then wouldn't he be able to see clearly how other people use chakra and various ninjutsu? Then use chi to imitate various ninjutsu? My scalp is tingling. Li Quan was suddenly shocked by his own idea. Its energy as well. Li Quan couldn't tell what the specific difference between chi and chakra was. But if he could really use all kinds of ninjutsu, then his subsequent actions would be much more convenient. As long as he learns multiple shadow clone, he won't be afraid of others continuing to monitor him. At that time, he can do whatever he wants. Isn't that wonderful? It seems that I have to listen carefully to the courses in the ninja school from now on. Maybe tomorrow, I can try out the ability of Daluo Dongguan. After all, there is a ready-made teacher in the class. This member of the Aberme clan who was specially sent by Sarutobi Hiruzen to monitor him can't be just a decoration. But before that, Li Quan is not prepared to fight a battle without confidence. He still didn't know what the result would be when he used Daluo Dongguan. If the noise is too loud, there might be trouble. So before going to class tomorrow, he wants to practice this skill first. Coming in front of the mirror, Li Quan had an idea. Then, he saw many details that he could not see normally. There are many stains on the mirror. A piece fell off in the upper left corner. There was a mosquito on the floor, flapping its wings constantly. All of this made Li Quan completely stunned. There are absolutely no blind spots. This novel feeling seemed as if everything in the world was under his control. As he increased the consumption of qi, Li Quan was extremely shocked by the discovery. In the mirror, my clothes disappeared. Damn, perspective. Chapter 36. Looking at himself in the mirror, Li Quan's eyes were full of surprise. And the joy that can't be hidden. As of now, the effect shown by Daluo Dongguan seems to be not much different from the white eyes. And this may also be because I intentionally connected it to the white eyes, which led to the current result. Because the 8 great skills are all conceptual skills. Therefore, Li Quan felt that he had not yet fully utilized the ability of Daluo Dongguan. There are countless ways to observe. In one person's world, the performance of Daluo Dongguan is too mysterious. It may also involve different dimensions. This ability may also involve time and space. The ability to see through space with clear eyes. His thinking of this, Li Quan's eyes suddenly lit up. Time is the key to seeing through the changes in things. Seeing through different dimensions is space. The essence of everything in the world can be viewed as you wish. This ability is heaven-defying. Moreover, when he was observing, there was no color or energy fluctuation on his body. This concealment ability. It's much more advanced than the pupil technique. After all, if a real fight breaks out, we won't know about his ability and won't be able to discover its function. It is impossible to achieve precise restraint. But he was able to use the broken version of Daluo Dongguan to predict his opponent's next move and even observe his opponent's weaknesses. As long as he's fast enough, Li Quan is almost invincible. Most importantly, can Daluo Dongguan see through genjutsu? If he could, he would be basically fearless afterwards. By comparison, perspective is a child's play. As my heart moves, the picture in Li Quan's eyes changed again. This time, the self in his eyes had turned into a skeleton of flesh and blood. Various organs are working in an orderly manner. There seemed to be a strange space in his lower abdomen. There is a mysterious energy that keeps flowing along the meridians and converging towards the center of his eyebrows. Then, it transformed into wonderful fluctuations. This. Li Quan's eyes suddenly widened and he instantly lost his composure. I actually observed the flow of qi. It seems that my previous guess was successful. Next, it is time to imitate various ninjutsu. As for whether he could succeed, he was not sure. But he didn't care. If there is one, that's even better. If not, just continue with the lottery. One day, he will be able to draw a skill like the 3-body technique. That's fine too. Also, that strange space, is it the danshin? The fluctuations at the center of the eyebrows may be a concrete form of Daluo Dongguan's observation ability. Why does it feel so much like the divine consciousness in fantasy novels? Although somewhat puzzled, Li Quan did not feel any discomfort. He is very receptive. After all, I read a lot of novels and a lot of animation and comics. Even if he didn't understand, he could still guess roughly. After so many experiments, Li Quan has almost made a conclusion about the ability and speculation of Daluo Dongguan. After that, it depends on whether these abilities are really as he imagined. Time came to the next day. Ninja school. Because he wanted to learn experimental skills, Li Quan came to the classroom early. It was definitely not to see Tsunade's proud body. Li Quan swears, absolutely not. During class, Li Quan suddenly looked away while observing Aberme Arisuki's figure. He even has trypophobia. Countless insects were crawling continuously inside the body of the Aberme tree. Li Quan got goosebumps when he saw it. Li Quan is not a masochist. Let's change our target. There are so many ninjas in the village, there must be a few that are normal. In the afternoon, there are taijutsu lessons. Li Quan would glance at Tsunade from time to time. Tisk Tsunade actually has a birthmark. White tiger. As he watched, Li Quan felt his nose suddenly become moist. He touched it subconsciously and looked at the 2 bright red spots on his fingers. Li Quan fell into deep thought. With his current physical strength, why is he still bleeding from the nose? Then, with a bang, he was punched on the head by Tsunade. You little pervert. Are you thinking about something? Stop it, you are still not grown up. Looking at Li Quan in front of her with a nosebleed, Tsunade couldn't help but clench her fists. She knew how attractive her body was to boys. But a group of little kids aged 5, 6, or 7 are at the stage of growing up. So after preparing to become a physical training teacher, her dressing style changed slightly. All of that is blocked. But from the looks of it, Li Quan is obviously thinking about something inappropriate for children. How else could I have a nosebleed? Pink. Pretending to be in pain, scratching his head, Li Quan murmured softly. But Tsunade almost got furious. Today, I seem to be wearing pink underwear. I subconsciously glanced at my clothes and didn't find any mess. Tsunade simply pinched Li Quan's cheek. You little pervert, you are so bold. You dare to peep at me, you are courting death. No wonder this pervert had a nosebleed today. Dare to spy on yourself? Looks like I need to teach this pervert a lesson. This lawless boy has a completely different personality from the well-behaved Shengshu. But why is it that the more I look at Li Quan, the more he looks like a rope tree? As Tsunade's hands kept pinching, they began to rub. The action of teaching a lesson has completely changed its meaning. To outsiders, it looked more like the 2 of them were having fun. Li Quan did not resist this. After all, after kneading the skin, there will be a facial cleanser service, which is a complete enjoyment for him. But the boys were jealous and went crazy. Why? Why doesn't Li Quan need to receive physical training? Genma Shiranui was running in circles with no motivation at all, looking as if he had lost all hope in life. That's right, I don't accept it. The other kids also had expressions of eating shit on their faces. Asuma Sarutobi, who had just finished running a lap, secretly clenched his fists. There was an unconcealable rage in his eyes. Even at this point, Yahai Kurene's eyes were still on Li Chuan. Why? A small head contains big worries. Asuma paused, breathless. With a look of doubt in his eyes, he suddenly laughed. 1 month later, it will be the midterm test. The test will be conducted in real combat, and when the time comes, I will definitely give Li Chuan a good beating. This is youth. Come on, come on. Suddenly, a whirlwind blew around me. A green figure rushed past him. It's Might Guy. Why is this guy still running? The top of the teaching building. Inside the largest office. A bear Mayusha followed behind Sarutobi Hiruzen and asked with some confusion, Hokage-sama, is that child getting too close to Tsunade-sama? What are you afraid of? This is a good thing. With a light chuckle, Sarutobi Hiruzen smoked his pipe and finally felt much better. The Hotaki Sakumo incident had just passed, and he was in a very heavy mood. But after seeing this scene, he finally felt a little comforted. Tsunade doesn't even know now that Kato-dan is a member of the root. The direct descendant of the Senju clan, Senju Rope Tree, died at his hands. Now, there are only a few scattered members left in the Senju clan, and they do not pose much threat to him. In this case, Tsunade is still his apprentice. Then Li Chuan is nominally his disciple. As long as he continues to infuse it with the will of fire, Li Chuan will become his sword just like Tsunade. Come to think of it, he hadn't noticed that this little guy looked a bit like the Senju Rope Tree. Go, ask Enbu to check again. Is there any trace left behind by the rope tree incident? On the playground. Li Chuan glanced at the top floor out of the corner of his eye. Is it time to spread the will of fire again? Sarutobi Hiruzen is really persistent. Chapter 37. After school. Li Chuan took Yahai Kurene and a few others to the handmade shop. He didn't listen to what the third Hokage preached. However, Yahai Kurene and others listened with great interest. Li Chuan was acting throughout the whole process. But in my heart, I became more cautious. It has only been a few days and there are already few children in the class paying attention to Hotaki Sakumo. Even on the streets, the voices talking about Hotaki Sakumo have become much quieter. This is terrifying. Is this due to technique, or is there some other reason? Or, pure spiritual pua? Li Chuan is not a conspiracy theorist. But in the world of Hokage, the darkness of Konoha village is real. After all, Naruto is a real example. His parents were killed, but Naruto didn't even see much of the inheritance and was accused of being a fox demon. Think about Hotaki Sakumo, who gave himself an extra 500,000 ryo just to let him protect Hotaki Kakashi at a critical moment. But Naruto, as the son of the fourth Hokage, actually ate expired food. However, under the influence of the will of fire, Naruto, who should have turned evil, did not turn evil. Just thinking about it gives me chills. To be honest, if Orochimaru hadn't killed Sarutobi Hiruzen, the fifth Hokage has become the bold and resolute Tsunade, and Konoha will probably become even darker in the future. But Li Chuan had some doubts in his heart. Why did Tsunade leave Konoha? He always felt that this matter was not particularly simple. Thinking back to his past life and reading various netizens' speculations, Li Quan's eyes suddenly lit up. The cause of death of Kato-dan and Senju Nweki. The deaths of these two people seem to be closely related to Sarutobi Hiruzen and Jimura Danzo. And according to netizens' speculation, Li Chuan thinks that Kato-dan may also be related to Hiruzen and Danzo. Just an ordinary civilian ninja. How dare Kato-dan support Tsunade's proposal in front of Konoha's top leaders when they all refused? Afterwards, I was still alive and safe. During the Second Ninja World War, Kato-dan's death was probably because he was out of control. Became an abandoned child. Tsunade left, perhaps because after knowing all this, she felt helpless and didn't want to stay in this sad place. It seems that this matter needs to be handled properly. Now all the resources of the Senju clan are in Tsunade's hands. The relationship between this rich woman and him is now very delicate. It seems that he treats himself as his younger brother. If I can get closer to Tsunade through this incident, with the support of the Senju clan's resources, he will become stronger even faster. Li Chuan, what are you thinking about? Suddenly, the sound of typing was heard. Next to Shouta, a beautiful woman also turned her eyes to Li Chuan. The feminine nature of Takeda Hajiki. For more than a month, she had not met Li Chuan for various reasons. Now she finally saw the child who made her happy. But now, she has other requests. This month. Under her demands, the hand became sluggish again. Although it was only a few minutes shorter than before. But with the previous comparison, how could she be satisfied? However, in front of outsiders, Takeda Yayu will still give the hand beater face. On the side, Li Chuan suddenly came back to his senses when he heard the sound. Looking at Yahai Kurene and the others who had already started eating ramen, he smiled slightly. If something is too dark, just let him bear it alone. Yahai Kurene, Nohara Rin, Shizuan, and the others, please don't get involved. Nothing, big brother, this is my sister-in-law, right? As he said this, he looked at Takeda Hajiki. That's good enough. Although her face is not particularly pretty. But this figure, wow, is comparable to half Tsunade. This is? Damn, that's a pretty fierce hand hit. This girl is pregnant. But he remembered that it was still early before Icarus was born. Are there other children involved in the beating? Yes, this is my girlfriend, Takeda Hajiki. Behind the guest table, he raised his chin with pride. Then he looked at a few regular customers standing by. Hey, hand typing, you'll easily lose friends if you do this. That's right, if you keep feeding us dog food, we won't come next time. Listening to the teasing of several people, he curled his lips in disdain. Tisk, you're just jealous. If you have the ability, why don't you find one too? Then he looked at Li Chuan. Hey, are you jealous? But Li Chuan did not reply, but casually glanced at the three little girls sitting next to him. Do you think I'm envious? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Lady Tsunade, you are my sister now. It seemed as if he felt Li Quan's gaze. The three little girls buried their heads in the bowls. Looking at this scene, Li Chuan smiled with satisfaction. As expected of the precocious Hokage world. Little girls of 5 or 6 years old are so sensitive about love. Looking up at his hands, he gave a provocative look. That means, it seems to be saying. What's the point of showing off in front of him? Then, the hand fell silent. Aw damn it, I was actually hit by a little kid. These three little girls all have good talents and they all look like beauties. But these, the hand typer doesn't care. After all, they are just three little girls. But what he cares about is Lady Tsunade. She is the most beautiful woman in Konoha village, the goddess of all the men in Konoha village. That kind of proud body, that kind of invincible majesty. There is no man in Konoha village who has not secretly fantasized about this several times. But now, Li Chuan actually said that Lady Tsunade had become his sister. Doesn't that mean that Li Chuan can be with Lady Tsunade at any time? And this kid is still a 5-year-old child. A 5-year-old child casually took advantage of Master Tsunade. Master Tsunade wouldn't say anything, right? The scene of Li Chuan hugging Tsunade and acting coquettishly appeared in my mind. My hands started to ache from hitting him. His feeling the pain in his waist, shouted took a deep breath. My girlfriend is jealous. Damn it, I'm afraid I'm going to have a hard time today. In the past 2 days, his waist seemed to be unable to bear it again. If you were to do something cruel to him today, I guess he won't be able to get out of bed tomorrow. If Li Chuan knew the idea of a euro hand typing, he would be shocked. Takeda Hajiki actually used this method as a punishment. Is this AFG punishment? No, the custom and culture of chicken in a basin is really. Then I looked at the three people around me and cried out in my heart, I really want to grow up. But now, Li Chuan doesn't know. At this moment, he was thinking about something else. Should I tell Shouta that Takeda Hajiki is pregnant? If you do certain things in the first 1 or 2 months of pregnancy, you may have a miscarriage. If this child is really his future wife Icarus, then I must tell you. Without a wife, what will happen? Big brother, I think Sister Yayu is in a bit of trouble. Why don't you take Sister Yayu to the ninja hospital in the next few days? And during this period of time, please exercise some restraint. After hearing what Li Chuan said, Shouta was a little confused. Yayu is in pretty good shape. I just did some fancy work with him yesterday, and he doesn't look sick at all. But thinking that Li Chuan could cure his waist, he nodded subconsciously. But he was really worried. What's wrong with Yayu? It wouldn't be a bad thing, right? Seeing the worry in Shouta's eyes, Li Chuan just smiled and said, Don't worry, brother Shouta, this may be a surprise for you. Chapter 38. October 19th, Ninja School. After school at noon, Li Chuan was left alone in the classroom by Tsunade. Observing the extra layer of chakra barrier around Tsunade, Li Quan's eyes showed surprise. Before he had the Daluo cave observation, he could sense that it was a circle of barrier formed by chakra. But now, he clearly saw how this barrier was formed. It's actually vibrating at a special frequency. After this chakra barrier was formed, the invisible peeping force around Tsunade completely disappeared. This moment, Li Chuan finally understood clearly how exquisite Tsunade's control over chakra was. Doesn't that mean that the barrier he had previously condensed was useless? But at that time, he did not sense the peeping. There's no danger. While observing and memorizing the frequency of chakra, he asked, Sister Tsunade, do you need me for something? Tsunade secretly breathed a sigh of relief when she discovered that the secret spying had disappeared. My teacher is really perverted. Whenever Jiraiya peeked, he always did it in front of others. But after her teacher acquired the telescope skill, it was impossible to guard against her. So much so that for a long time she didn't even dare to take a bath. If she hadn't created this anti-peeping ninjutsu, she would have gone crazy sooner or later. After relaxing, Tsunade crossed her legs and sat on the stool. Looking at Li Chuan, she smiled and said, Do you still remember what you asked me to do for you before? Just looking at Tsunade, Li Quan's eyes suddenly became straight. This pair of long white legs is another story. Tsunade's outfit today is black lace. I see. Tsunade actually has this kind of underwear. Gurgle swallowing his saliva subconsciously, Li Chuan completely ignored Tsunade's question. But Tsunade became proud. Tsunade is very confident about her figure. He's just a little kid whose hair hasn't even grown out yet. Can she still be cured? Look, she just casually showed off her charm, and this lecherous boy can't bear it anymore. Small Li Chuan, easy to handle. Supergirl, you are playing with fire. Feeling Tsunade's teasing look, Li Quan narrowed his eyes. Haha, so what if you play with fire? What can you do, you pervert? Tsunade glanced at Li Quan's body, lowered her eyes a little, and curled her lips in disdain. She didn't believe that this precocious little pervert couldn't understand what she meant. After all, we have been together for more than a month. But she is very familiar with Li Quan. She raised her long legs and twitched her toes provocatively. Yet. Li Quan said something meaningful. Bullying yourself for not growing up yet, right? Do you really think he has no other options to deal with Tsunade? Start from zero frame. Li Quan grabbed Tsunade's ankle. Li Quan took off the black high heels very skillfully, and then he began to tickle Tsunade's feet. Yet her body suddenly stiffened and Tsunade let out a moan. What a great strength. I actually couldn't break free. An ominous feeling lingered in my heart. Tsunade suddenly pursed her lips. Did you make that sound just now? After several thoughts came to her mind, the numbness from the solace of her feet and an indescribable feeling directly made her brain confused. Haha. There was a strange moan in the laughter. It seemed that even the breathing became rapid. Some beads of sweat appeared on Tsunade's forehead. Her body straightened even more. Suddenly, her face turned as red as an apple. Li Quan's eyes widened instantly. He didn't see it wrong, did he? Although being tickled on the solace of your feet can give people a pleasant feeling. But isn't Tsunade too sensitive? Oh my goodness, the color of the black lace has become darker. But then, he suddenly withdrew his hand and looked at Tsunade with a smile. Li Quan is a gentleman. After experiencing the influence of the internet, he understands a lot more. If this wasn't a classroom, the relationship between the two wouldn't have reached a certain level of familiarity. He must let Tsunade know how powerful he is. The reason I stopped at this moment was not because I was afraid of being discovered. After all, school was over, and there was probably no one else in the entire school except him and Tsunade. What Li Quan feared was the Chakra barrier that Tsunade condensed. The barrier was showing signs of becoming unstable and was about to disappear. If we continue like this, it will be bad if Sarutobi Hiruzen sees us. Opposite to Li Quan. Tsunade took a long time to recover. Feeling Li Quan's gaze, Tsunade was both embarrassed and frightened. The embarrassing thing is that she was tickled by the pervert Li Quan and felt something on the solace of her feet. Surprisingly, she couldn't break free from Li Quan's hand. Feel the coolness of somewhere. Tsunade immediately lowered her raised legs and put them together. I have to change my new clothes again. No, I can't stay here any longer. This pervert is too precocious, who knows if he will notice his abnormality. You little BD, just wait for me. After saying these harsh words, Tsunade's body trembled again. How come I can still feel the solace of my feet? And my scalp is tingling. Is it because I am old and have physiological needs? As a medical ninja, Tsunade doesn't have much objection to this aspect. But the key point is, why is the target this kid Li Quan? Slipped away. Slipped away. But she felt like she had forgotten something. By the way, I have something to do with Li Quan. As she pushed open the classroom door and prepared to leave, Tsunade turned around and said, Little BD, I'll take you to the ninja hospital after school this afternoon. After saying that, she fled from the school. I am so ashamed to face people. When she saw Li Quan's face, she always felt that Shengshu was looking at her. She and Chenshu are siblings. What is this all about? But why does it feel more exciting? And Li Quan suddenly realized. So, is this why you're looking for him? Isn't it better to just say it directly? Tsunade is asking for trouble by teasing him on purpose. After school in the afternoon, Li Quan followed Tsunade to the ninja hospital. In Li Quan's eyes, Tsunade's expression never looked better the entire time. In a nutshell, it's just two words. Twisting and twisting. However, after meeting the subordinates of the ninja hospital, Tsunade greeted them very generously. His generous character is fully displayed. It fully demonstrates its attributes as a social bull. Moreover, it is not only a community cow, but also a dairy cow. Li Quan glanced at him subconsciously and added a comment in his mind. Just as he and Tsunade were about to go upstairs. Suddenly, a man rushed into the hospital holding a pregnant woman. Seeing this scene, everyone in the hospital made way. However, after seeing the round fan logo on this person's back, everyone was shocked. There was hatred in his eyes. From the Uchiha clan. Strange, doesn't the Uchiha clan have its own hospital? Why is this person here? It's this guy. Isn't he Uchiha Kagami's son? I remember he was from the police department. FK, stay away, be careful of getting into trouble. Amid the discussions, Li Quan's expression changed slightly. Uchiha Kagami's son? Speaking of which, among the Uchiha clan members, he was only familiar with Uchiha Obito. As for Uchiha Kagami's son, he had never heard of his name. Speaking of which, Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Mirror seem to have some connection. Could it be Uchiha Shisui? But Shisui seems not to have been born yet. What the hell? Could it be that the baby in that pregnant woman's belly is Uchiha Shisui? However, under the observation of Daluo Cave, the woman seemed to be about to die. Could it be that it was because of this opportunity that Sarutobi Hiruzen discovered the talent of Uchiha Shisui? Then came the brainwashing. In that case, Li Quan would become interested. He was very happy to go against Sarutobi Hiruzen. If Shisui can become the third generation's sword, then it can also be his sword. At the same time, The Uchiha named Ryo discovered Tsunade. With ecstasy in his eyes, he immediately rushed over with the pregnant woman in his arms. Lady Tsunade, please, save my wife. She is dying. It really doesn't work, looking at the unconscious woman in his arms, Uchiha said with trembling lips, if it really doesn't work, you must save the master. Chapter 39. Ninja Hospital Lobby. Looking at Uchiha Ryo in front of her, Tsunade's expression became extremely ugly. Not to mention the conflicts between the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan. Just because of her hemophobia, she hasn't treated anyone for a long time. When delivering a baby, blood will be involved if necessary. In her current state, she can use ninjutsu such as Sage Jutsu. But what to do afterwards? Medical ninjutsu can't deliver babies. Promise Uchiha Ryo, she simply didn't dare. In his mind, the scene of rescuing Kato Dan kept flashing back. Tsunade's body suddenly went limp. Her whole body was shaking continuously, and she staggered, her legs actually bent weakly. On the side, Li Chuan quickly supported Tsunade. His small body seemed to be bearing a weight that he shouldn't have to bear at his age. However, Li Chuan did not feel any pressure at all. Holding Tsunade's hand, he put his arm around her waist, worry in his eyes. He could probably guess Tsunade's situation. Moreover, he could also see the aura of fear and despair emanating from Tsunade through his Daluo Dongguan. But Li Chuan is not Naruto. He doesn't have such a strong ability in talking, nor does he have such a sunny attitude. What he could do was to let Tsunade gradually understand the truth of the matter. Be a strong support beside Tsunade. Lady Tsunade, please, save my wife. In Konoha today, you are the only one who can save her. Not seeing any response, Uchiha Ryo suddenly became anxious. Holding his wife, Ryo didn't notice Tsunade's abnormal condition at all. Begging bitterly. In the eyes of everyone who was extremely surprised, yet took it for granted. Uchiha Ryo actually knelt down directly. And his pupils, the scarlet megatama, began to slowly emerge. Under the stimulation of the impending loss of his loved ones, Liang actually activated the Uchiha clan's unique bloodline limit. Sharingan. And when you open your eyes, you will see 3 megatama. The terrifying pupil power exudes an astonishing aura. It also made everyone present change their expressions. At this moment, some people also noticed that something was wrong with Tsunade. What's wrong, Lady Tsunade? Why does it feel like something is not right? Why do I feel like Lady Tsunade is scared? Impossible. Lady Tsunade, how could you be afraid of Uchiha? Master Dean, are you okay? At this moment, several elderly men and women came to Tsunade. These people are the few remaining members of the Senju clan. As soon as they arrived, several people pointed their fingers at Uchiha Ryo. Go away, Senju clan, Uchiha is not welcome. That's right, take your wife and leave, or don't blame us for being rude. A few scoldings. Their attitude has been made clear. The people of Uchiha, they won't save them. In the dark, an Enbu member watched this scene and narrowed his eyes. As expected, just as the rumors said, Tsunade suffers from hemophobia. And it looks like it's not just serious. The information from the Hokage was indeed correct. Later, according to the plan of the Hokage, perhaps he could take advantage of Tsunade's weakness and completely control the Konoha Ninja Hospital. But before that, he needs to get the information that the Hokage has asked him to pay attention to. Who is the person who secretly cured Hitaki Sakumo? The other side. Aberame Torin was also watching the scene. One of the most powerful J.A. Nin under Shimura Danzo. He is in charge of monitoring Tsunade this time. Not only Enbu. The root also wants to take control of the Konoha Ninja Hospital. And behind all this, it was actually Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo who were manipulating it. But this time, Aberame's root removal was a bit unexpected. This guy Uchiha Ryo actually activated the 3 Megatama Sharingan. It seems that after this incident, I have to report to Lord Danzo. The evil Uchiha, another powerful ninja has emerged. This is definitely not a good thing. Besides Tsunade, Li Chuan was still thinking about what to do next. But after noticing several gazes coming towards him from the dark, his face became a little more gloomy. This is actually a game. Moreover, it was a joint plan specifically targeting Tsunade and the Senju clan. No wonder. He was still wondering why Uchiha Ryo came to Tsunade for treatment. In order to plot, Uchiha Ryo's wife was killed. What a cruel method. Killing people over a disagreement, that's very Hokage. You are not an idiot, are you? Put away your pupil power, or the people around me will make you die miserably. Speaking indifferently, Li Chuan supported Tsunade and walked towards the stairs. Uchiha Ryo's talent made him see a rising star. It has been decided to establish a force. He was not going to let go of such a talented and powerful person. But now, there are too many people around. He had always wanted to hide, so it was impossible for him to do anything in public. Therefore, the best way is to put all the blame on Tsunade. However, Tsunade's hemophobia is a big problem. But if it's done well. After today, Tsunade's hemophobia may just be a rumor in the eyes of some people around. Those Senju clan members obviously agreed with Li Quan's words. Tsunade had greeted them before. So they all knew who this child might be. Boy, is your name Li Chuan? However, the oldest Senju member, the chief elder of the Senju clan, confirmed it again. It's me. Can I trouble you to arrange an operating room? I will persuade Sister Tsunade. Boy, do you know what this means? The great elder of the Senju clan narrowed his eyes. That was the Uchiha clan that had a feud with them. Even if they have the ability to save, they will not act. For no other reason than hatred. The evil Uchiha race should not have come into this world. Listen to Li Chuan. Suddenly, Tsunade came to her senses, stood firm, and spoke firmly. After all, there was no real blood. After giving Li Chuan a thankful look, Tsunade regained her composure. If it weren't for Li Chuan, she would have made a fool of herself this time. And it is very likely that it will also affect the members of the Senju clan. At this moment, she already understood what Li Chuan meant. Li Chuan wants to do it himself. Although she didn't know where Li Chuan got his confidence from. But after a month of getting along, she realized that Li Chuan, this lecherous boy, was not a fool. No matter how bad it is, for this guy who looks so much like her brother. She can still try to overcome her fear. Grand Elder, prepare a separate operating room. I will go there myself later. Tsunade, stop messing around. The Great Elder shouted angrily. He glared at Li Chuan behind Tsunade, totally confused. He knew about Tsunade's situation. Putting aside her identity as a member of the Uchiha clan, could Tsunade's hemophobia alone really have helped her save the pregnant woman? Those old guys were planning to make Tsunade the Hokage and restore the glory of the Senju clan. If there were to be 2 deaths and 1 corpse, it would be a huge trouble. Not only would his reputation be damaged, but he would also arouse hostility from the Uchiha clan. The Senju clan's current situation is much worse than that of the Uchiha clan. There are still several hundred members of the Uchiha clan. But there are not many members of the Senju clan left now. Although they don't know who did it. But they could guess who did it. Suddenly, Tsunade said with finality, no need to say more, I have made my decision. If anything goes wrong, I will bear all the consequences. Chapter 40. Inside the ninja hospital. Everything that happened in the hall has stopped. Tsunade's identity is too special. Tsunade is the current head of the Senju clan and the director of the ninja hospital. Once the decision is made, if she doesn't want to change it, the others will have no way to refuse. A few minutes ago, the crowd was in the corner. For the 3rd time, he brought Takeda Hashiki to the ninja hospital. Since Li Chuan left that day. I feel serious about my girlfriend when I type this by hand. At that time, he closed the shop directly and took Takeda Hashiki to the Konoha hospital. Although Konoha's hospital is called the ninja hospital, it does not simply serve ninjas. Instead, it is open to all villagers. However, the hospital did not find anything abnormal. He didn't get the surprise that Li Chuan mentioned. This makes the hand typer speechless. But he still knows Li Chuan very well. This guy is not the kind of person who shoots without a purpose. Didn't he get slapped in the face the last time he was treating his back injury? But this is the 3rd time I've been to the hospital. Still nothing was checked out. Isn't this tormenting? Before that, he had specifically asked Li Chuan to treat his waist. Now I am typing with full energy. But for Yeyu's safety, he had restrained himself for several days. Even his girlfriend Takeda Hashiki was dissatisfied at this moment. Hand fighting, are you going to listen to me or not? Pulling the hand hitting the ear, Takeda Yeyu glared at the hand hitting, very dissatisfied. A pair of beautiful eyes, opened even wider. Takeda Hashiki is not afraid to spend money. But she doesn't like wasting money. After 3 checks, no results were obtained. The most important thing was that she stopped masturbating for 3 days. Young people are full of passion. Having tasted the forbidden fruit and experienced its beauty, she didn't want to stop at all. But I haven't seen any response from my hand yet. Then I saw Uchiha rushing into the hospital. Looking at the pregnant woman in Uchiha arms. He hit the 2 men with his hands, as if he were struck by lightning in an instant. What is it that requires both of them to restrain themselves? And is it a surprise? His eyes subconsciously looked at Takeda Yayu's lower abdomen, and Kakuzu's mouth stretched to the back of his ears. Child. Is he going to have a child? This surprise is too big. He is only 22 years old. When he was dating Takeda, he had never thought about life with children. So much so that his head is now confused. On the side, Takeda Hashiki also touched her belly. This month, I don't seem to have my period. This kind of thing is often postponed because of exercise. But now, she suddenly understood. Tsunade once suggested adding a medical ninja to the team. This plan has already begun to be tested. As a woman, she is the medical ninja of her team. But it's not a professional job, just a part-time job. Even so, Takeda Hashiki understood. During the first 1 or 2 months of pregnancy, nothing can be detected during the examination. Doing that kind of thing can indeed lead to miscarriage. But how did that little guy Li Chuan know that she was pregnant? The hospital couldn't find anything after 3 examinations. The little fellow was only a 5-year-old child. Even if you have the ability, you shouldn't be so perverted. Do you think I am really pregnant? Looking at the hand typing in confusion. Takeda Hashiki also became at a loss. Some time ago, she did too much hand mashing. Could it have had an impact? Obviously, she has taken protective measures. Why did he still get infected? And kids and stuff. She and Shouda are not married yet. She is really not ready to welcome a child. Holding the beaten hand, her hands were shaking nervously. Don't worry, Yeyu, I will support you from now on. Seeing Yeyu's worry, he said firmly with his hands. But can the little guy really tell that I'm pregnant? It's only been over a month, right? Takeda Yayu was a little worried and clenched her hands tightly. Why don't you just ask? He smiled and looked at the place not far away with surprise. There were Li Quan and Tsunade. But what happened next was that he couldn't do anything about hitting Yayu directly. The conflict between Uchiha and Senju is known to almost everyone in the village. In the Second Ninja War, almost all the members of the Senju clan were killed. There are less than 50 tribesmen left. Under these circumstances, the Senju clan began to lie dormant. If Tsunade rescues the Uchiha clan, won't the village be in big trouble? Go, 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 it's too dangerous. Ask next time. After saying that, Shouda immediately took Takeda Hajiki and left the Konoha Ninja Hospital. Hand typing is very smart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lived from the 3rd generation period all the way to the Boruto legend. There are some things that he knows clearly, and he cannot get involved in them now. Not long after. Outside a clean operating room. Uchiha Ryo and a group of Senju people waited anxiously outside. Tsunade directly drove everyone out. So they had no idea what was going on inside. In the operating room now. Only Tsunade, Li Quan, and the pregnant Uchiha were left. In fact, only 2 or 3 minutes had passed since the incident. Uchiha Ryo had already retracted his pupil power. When asking someone to do something for you, you should always have the attitude of asking someone to do something for you. Threatening Tsunade and saying harsh words is just asking for trouble. So before, when Tsunade was communicating with her clan members, he said nothing. But now, he really didn't know what was going on in the operating room. Shouldn't several people be involved in surgery? Why, Lady Tsunade is just one person. Oh, and I brought a kid with me. Isn't this FG nonsense? At this moment, Uchiha's heart, just like his name, became a little colder. If it weren't for the hospital in Uchiha, Xiao Yang would not have been saved. Why would he come to the ninja hospital? Before this, he and Xiao Yang had already chosen a name for the child. When a child is born, whether it is a boy or a girl, he or she will be named Shisui. This name sounds nice whether it's a boy or a girl. But he felt a little regretful. But now, regret is useless. The person is already in the operating room, what else can he do? Should he be allowed to force his way into the operating room? This type of operating room has special barriers. Not only does it prevent prying eyes, it also protects the safety of medical ninjas. In addition, there were several Senju people around, staring at him eagerly. Uchiha Ryo didn't dare to do anything. In the operating room, looking at various familiar utensils, Tsunade subconsciously wanted to escape. She was afraid that another life would escape from her hands. But when she saw Li Quan walking to the operating table not far away, she couldn't hide her curiosity again. Out of trust in Li Quan, Tsunade forced her tribe members to vacate the operating room. But now, what does Li Quan want to do? Surgery or normal delivery? Do you need her help? A series of questions made Tsunade feel uncertain. To be honest, besides wanting to see what Li Quan is capable of, Tsunade is totally gambling. She was betting that Li Quan really had a way to save Uchiha Xiao Yang and the baby in her belly. After losing the bet on Li Quan, she was able to control her inner fear and help her special brother to solve the subsequent troubles. But Tsunade knew that her luck in gambling was very bad. This time, I'm afraid there will be trouble. Once failed. The Uchiha clan took the opportunity to cause trouble, and the Senju clan began to have a hard time. Damn it. Tsunade vaguely discovered that this matter was suddenly not so simple. Li Quan, on the other hand, had confidence in his eyes. Sister Tsunade, have you ever seen a surgery without blood? Chapter 41. In the operating room. Listening to Li Quan's words, Tsunade suddenly became confused. Bloodless surgery? Are you kidding? How can there be surgery without blood? I've had so many surgeries before, and every time I didn't need surgery or sutures. As long as the knife is used, without bloodshed, is it still human? You little pervert, this is not the time to joke around. Do you have any way to save Uchiha Xia Liang? If not, then, just get out of the way, As she was talking, Tsunade suddenly stopped talking. Then her expression became serious. No blood? Does this kid know something? Only a few people know the secret of my hemophobia. After all, it was her weakness, so she was naturally on guard against it. But now Li Quan brought this up on purpose. She couldn't help but suspect. This weakness will directly cause her to lose her combat effectiveness. Once everyone knew about it, some people wanted to do something to her, and she wouldn't even have a chance to resist. Sister Tsunade, do I look like someone who can joke? Li Quan shrugged helplessly. He didn't think much about Tsunade's nervousness and seriousness. I guess it's simply because of fear that he doesn't dare to go for surgery. Don't worry, I'll show you what a bloodless surgery looks like. With a confident smile, Li Quan used the Daladongwen to carefully observe Uchiha Xia Liang. This is really not nonsense. But he really has this ability. The double-handed skill is a magical skill that controls the concept of life. He has experimented many times with the function of the red hand. When he tortured Orochimaru before, Li Quan modified Orochimaru's body. At that time, he made a hollow hole in Orochimaru's stomach. Later, he transformed Orochimaru's body back to that of a normal person. Especially now, his red hand proficiency has reached 40%. Even if there is not much chi in his body. He also has the confidence to save Uchiha Xia Liang and the baby in her belly. But now we are using Daluo cave observation. Quan's purpose is not to save people. Someone wanted to use these two Uchiha clan members to design Tsunade and the Senju clan. Tsunade was now considered his partner. Her attitude towards him is like that of a real sister. Then he will not let the person behind this go easily. Now he wants to know how those people caused Uchiha Liang to get into trouble. By looking through the flesh and internal organs, Li Quan quickly discovered that there were dozens of tiny senbon inside Uchiha Liang's body. Senbon is a needle weapon. Haku, who is beside Zabuza, uses this kind of weapon. But at this moment, the senbon in the body of this Uchiha was extremely small. But there was no trace of pinholes on Xiao Yang's skin. He doesn't have many impressions of this method. You pervert, why don't you do it? Xiao Yang is almost exhausted, how about I do it? Looking at Li Quan who hadn't taken any action for a long time, Tsunade frowned. In her perception, Xiao Yang's vitality was getting weaker and weaker. Without rescue, he is estimated to have only half an hour to live. But now, she couldn't see the problem with Xiao Yang. Konoha nowadays doesn't have so much high technology. Once it cannot be detected by naked eye, Tsunade can't do anything to completely cure Uchiha Liang. If things go wrong, there might really be 2 deaths. I'll be right there. Li Quan suddenly came back to his senses and answered. At this moment, his aura was terrifyingly deep. Even he had to rely on the Daluo cave observation to see through the flesh and blood and magnify his vision before he discovered these thousands of books. If it were Tsunade, there would be no way she would notice these abnormalities. That is to say, if he is not here today, Uchiha Liang is doomed to die. Then with a little guidance, the Uchiha and Senju clans. Was it done by Shimura Danzo or Sarutobi Hiruzen? I guess both are possible. These 2 sinister guys want to embarrass Tsunade completely. He raised his right hand slightly, a red light flashed, and he pressed it directly on Xiao Yang's lower abdomen. It only takes a moment. Dozens of thin needles with a metallic luster automatically emerged from Uchiha Liang's body. Majin Senbon? This is Jiraiya's ninjutsu. Seeing these things, Tsunade suddenly screamed. But then, she shook her head suddenly. It's not the color of Jiraiya's hair, it's faked by the hardening technique. Are you trying to make me misunderstand Jiraiya? Who would be so cruel? Tsunade was talking to herself, and suddenly her eyes widened and she looked at Li Quan in shock. There really wasn't any blood. How on earth did this pervert do it? And in her perception, after these thousands of books left her body, Xiao Yang's vitality was increasing rapidly. It seems that there is no longer much danger. Also, isn't it impossible to extract chakra from Li Quan? What the hell is that red energy? Why does it feel like the quality of that energy seems to be stronger than chakra? Could this be the legendary sage jutsu chakra? At this moment, Tsunade suddenly felt that she had guessed everything right. But this is not enough now. Uchiha Liang is fine. But she still didn't dare to deliver the baby in Xiao Yang's belly. This kid Li Quan should be using ninjutsu similar to sage jutsu. But this kind of ninjutsu cannot deliver a baby without bleeding. Otherwise, she would just come here by herself. Then, Tsunade's pupil shrank. What did she see? There was a crack in his stomach, as if it was natural. Just as Li Quan said, there was no trace of blood. It seemed to be skin, extending into the torso along the navel, and then the uterus became skin. The child was easily pushed out of Uchiha Liang's body by the changed muscles. The unbelievable scene left Tsunade dumbfounded. The placenta detached automatically, the umbilical cord broke, and the baby cried loudly. The whole process was so eerie that she felt like she was watching a magic show. This is no longer a surgery. This is sage jutsu. It's a miracle. Tsunade never thought that she would see such a magical scene. At this moment, she seemed to see the ultimate of the medical ninjutsu that she had been exploring and pursuing. At that time, if I had this ability, maybe my brother and lover wouldn't have to die. She felt emotional in her heart, and her eyes were filled with incomparable envy. At the same time, her worldview completely collapsed. How can a 5-year-old child master such terrifying ninjutsu skills? Compared with Li Quan, her sage jutsu, which she was so proud of, seemed like a joke. She has studied hard over the years, and in order not to lose to Jiraiya, she even went to the Wetbone Forest and practiced with Katsuyu Sage for a period of time. But now, she is not even as good as a 5-year-old child. Why is this happening? At this moment, Tsunade felt that her previous distrust seemed to have become a musket bullet fired in advance. In just a few minutes, it hit her in the face. She was caught off guard by the blow. My cheeks were burning with pain. I was actually slapped in the face by a little kid. Swallowing hard, she kept rubbing her eyes. It seemed as if he wanted to thoroughly learn and master that magical skill through the still surging energy. But no matter how hard Tsunade tried, she felt like she had no idea where to start. But then, Tsunade suddenly discovered. This time, she actually won the bet. For the first time in my life, I actually won a bet. Chapter 42. 4 hours passed. Tsunade pushed open the door of the operating room. Looking at the people standing outside the house, her face fell unnaturally. Dean, what's the situation? The Senju clan's great elder, upon seeing Tsunade's expression, immediately stepped forward and began to inquire. The other members of the Senju clan also asked in a very nervous manner. Something is not right. It looks like a failure. Their hearts suddenly skipped a beat, and several people subconsciously looked at Uchiha. Wow, however, the loud crying interrupted the silence at the scene. This is, child? Several members of the Senju clan suddenly showed joy on their faces. I know that the patriarch can do it. The clan leader is amazing. Even the hospital in Uchiha can't cure this. Tsunade-sama, I didn't mean, Bayo-sama. Amid the discussions, Uchiha Ryo, who had been silent the whole time, spoke tremblingly. This made everyone's faces freeze. Yes, the child has been saved, but what about the adults? It's all right, it's all right. I just wanted to scare you, go in and take a look. Tsunade suddenly burst into laughter. Making way, she stretched herself lazily with great ease. Beside her, Li Chuan was somewhat surprised. I didn't expect that Tsunade has such a naughty side. But that's true. After being depressed for a long time, it's time to relax. It actually took less than 10 minutes to save Uchiha Xiaoyang and the baby in Xiaoyang's belly. But in order to play the scene well, Tsunade and he stayed in the operating room for 4 hours. After all, it's an operation, so it can't be too short. During this period, the two also communicated a lot. Some things need to be accepted slowly. Li Chuan did not tell Tsunade some things directly. Instead, he was giving hints in an indirect way. For example, the prying eyes he felt in the hall, and the consequences of Uchiha Xiaoliang's accident this time. Tsunade is a smart person. And always has been. But before, Tsunade had never thought that these things were related to Konoha's top leaders. But with this introduction, it's completely different. Li Chuan is looking forward to what will happen next. With his interference. If it's the 4th generation, it would be Tsunade. Then he can totally ignore the big events in the Hokage world afterwards. Instead, he made drastic changes to Konoha. After Konoha's overall strength has improved, what are Black Zetsu and Aoite Satsuki Kagaya? The two major clans, Uchiha and Senju, have produced ruthless people like Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. By then, his strength will be enhanced, coupled with the power of these two races. As well as Naruto and Sasuke, the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra. Unifying the ninja world is not a big problem. In fact, what Li Chuan doesn't understand the most about the Hokage world is, how can a group of daimyos who have no military power but only money rule the world? Hot weapons are not popular nowadays. Without sufficient firepower, how can one maintain his identity and status? As long as the various ninja villages take action, they can probably directly change the world situation. By then, won't money and resources come whenever they want? But this group of ninjas actually just live in the ninja village and make a living by taking ninja missions. What are you thinking about? Let's go. I'm in a good mood today. I'll treat you to a good meal. Feeling a pat on his shoulder, Li Chuan nodded slightly. Fortunately, this is Tsunade. If Danzo saw me using the red hand, I'm afraid he'll just take action. It was already late at night when we left the hospital. During this period of time, the streets and alleys in Konoha village are still very busy. Tsunade took Li Chuan and headed straight to the largest barbecue restaurant in the village. Speaking of which, Li Chuan had never been to this barbecue restaurant. It was purely due to financial difficulties before. After he became rich, in order to maintain his image as a left-behind child, he never thought of coming here. This time, he really benefited from Tsunade. And in the ninja hospital, in a special ward, Uchiha Yang squatted quietly beside Uchiha Xiaoyang. At this moment, he felt mixed emotions. He had already despaired. Even the best medical ninja in the clan couldn't cure Xiaoyang's symptoms. At that time, the clan leaders were all persuading him to give up Xiaoyang and save the baby in Xiaoyang's belly. But how could he be willing? The Uchiha tribe members love the most deeply. The person Uchiha Ryo loves most is his wife. As for kids and stuff, it was a complete accident. So, when he heard that Tsunade was still in the village, he came to the ninja hospital. He also knew about the hatred between the Uchiha and Senju clans. This time, I came here purely for adventure. Because he didn't want to lose Xiaoyang, the love of his life. But Tsunade's performance really caught him off guard. At that time, he was about to collapse. So much so that he actually activated the Uchiha clan's unique bloodline limit. Fortunately, Xiaoyang and Shisui are still alive. After calming down, Liang suddenly had a feeling. There seems to be something wrong with this matter. Xiaoyang is in good health usually. Why did this happen suddenly? It seems that I have to ask Lady Tsunade later. But Lady Tsunade is a member of the Senju clan, so she might not tell me about this Uchiha. Oh, that kid named Li Chuan. Water, I want to drink water. Suddenly, Xiaoyang, who was lying on the bed, said weakly. Seeing this scene, Liang immediately picked up a cotton swab, dipped it in the cup, and applied it on Xiaoyang's lips. Xiaoyang, why? The doctor said that you can't drink water directly for the time being. You need to observe for a few days. As he spoke, he used a cotton swab to apply on Xiaoyang's lips. I feel, I'm fine. On the bed, Uchiha Xiaoliang looked at Uchiha Yang aggrievedly. She is just like a bullied young wife. Oh, my child. Where's Shisui? Let me see her. As if he had thought of something, Xiaoyang jumped up. This scene stunned Liang. Oh, no. This is the movement a person can make after surgery. Wife, you just gave birth to a baby? How come this feels no different from a normal person? Have I been hit by genjutsu? I bit the tip of my tongue suddenly, and a pain came instantly. Then, Liang activated his Sharingan again and observed the surrounding environment. No problem. It turned out that he wasn't hit by genjutsu. What happened to Xiao Yang? He remembered that medical ninjutsu did not have such a powerful effect. Then, Liang's face turned red instantly. His wife actually took off her clothes and checked her belly in front of him. And it seems that he is also preparing to check below. Stop, stop, stop. He hurriedly grabbed Xiao Yang's hand, but Liang turned his head away embarrassedly. Well, my wife, could you please listen to me first? Hey, you're already an old married couple, and you're still shy. As he spoke jokingly, Xiao Yang had completely calmed down. Xiao Yang felt that her body was in exceptionally good condition now. There was absolutely no discomfort caused by childbirth as the sisters in the clan talked about. There are no scars and no pain in the lower body. But the point is, where are her children? Also, the stretch marks on my belly are gone. Everything seemed to be a mystery, leaving her a little confused. So now, she urgently needs an explanation. At the same time, inside the Hokage's office, a document was placed in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Not far from Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo was also holding a document and did not come back to his senses for a long time. Chapter 43. Inside the Hokage's office. Smoking a pipe, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. He could guess the purpose of Danzo's visit without even thinking. Today, what happened in the ninja hospital has reached his ears. This matter of Uchiha was not arranged by him. But he was happy to see this happen. But this result was beyond his expectations. What do you think about this matter? How can I see it? Shouldn't you ask yourself? Shimura Danzo retorted angrily. Doesn't Tsunade have hemophobia? What's going on now? He wants to ask Sarutobi Hiruzen. After all, it was Hiruzen who gave him the information about hemophobia. If not, how could he secretly use the Uchiha clan to test Tsunade? And at that time, a bear may also discovered Enbu members. No matter how Hiruzen looked at it, his actions were predictable. But this old rival is actually asking him now? Why doesn't Hiruzen reflect on himself? Whose fault is it? Has intelligence work been done properly? It was my mistake. But this shouldn't have happened. Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally understood the meaning of Danzo's words. But there was doubt in his eyes. Before, when Tsunade was treating Kato Dan on the battlefield, several Enbu members were watching nearby. From that day on, his student Tsunade never took action again. The information should be correct no matter what. According to Enbu's report, Li Chuan was the only one besides Tsunade at that time. To figure out the specific situation, it seems that we can only start with this little guy. Do you think it was that little guy who did it? Who? That kid named Li Chuan? Hiruzen, are you crazy? Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's question, Shimura Danzo almost laughed out of anger. A 5-year-old child, Hiruzen actually thought that this child could save Uchiha Liang? Is he crazy or is Hiruzen crazy? It seems that Tsunade's medical skills have improved again. Otherwise, how could it be possible to save Uchiha Liang's life? But fortunately, I had a backup plan. Thousands of needles. Although it is a replica, there should be no loopholes. That's right. At the desk. Sarutobi Hiruzen ignored Danzo's insults. After all, the two of them are already familiar with each other to a certain extent, and they will make fun of each other from time to time. But he always felt that things were not that simple. Wait, no matter how confident my student is, he shouldn't bring a child into the operating room, right? Have you noticed that Li Chuan and Sheng Shu are somewhat similar? Danzo pulled out an old photo. Among them, there is a child who is 40% similar to Li Chuan. But it is obvious that Li Chuan is more handsome. You mean, Li Chuan is probably also from the Senjo clan? When he saw the photo, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened. This statement seems to prove why Tsunade is close to Li Chuan. However, he had personally investigated Li Quan's background. It has nothing to do with the Senjo clan. I didn't say that. This kid is just a simple civilian ninja. He just looks like one. Danzo shook his head, but then he changed the subject. In fact, this is our advantage. This child may be the breakthrough point for us to completely take over the Senjo clan. The tone was a little excited. Danzo stood up suddenly. He finally got the chance to talk to Hiruzen about this. Come to think of it, he also suspected that Tsunade's incident was related to Li Chuan. But Danzo knew very well. Since he has discovered the peculiarity of this child, it is impossible for this old rival to fall behind. Therefore, he had to lower the child's status in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. So when he was in action, no one would disturb him. Otherwise, his plan would easily fail after the Enbu members took action. Now, the genius Kakashi has been reserved by Sarutobi Hiruzen. He doesn't want to let go of Li Chuan, a genius second only to Kakashi. If it weren't for the men he sent out, they wouldn't have reported the situation until now, plus what happened today. There was no way Danzo could be that anxious. The child has already caught the attention of his old rival, and it is estimated that he will be brainwashed by him in the near future. Have to be on guard. Li Chuan. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was standing aside, recalled Li Quan's performance over the past month. Suddenly he felt that Danzo's proposal seemed very good. After a month of brainwashing, the child has a deep understanding of the will of fire. I think I'll be able to test this child soon. Perhaps it is because this child is somewhat similar to Sheng Shu. This is what allowed Tsunade to overcome her hemophobia. In this case, it will be very troublesome to completely control the ninja hospital. The Uchiha clan did not make a fuss. Neither he nor Danzo can move. Glancing at Danzo, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and said, I see. What do you mean? Kakashi is already yours, you should at least leave me a sip of soup. On the side, Danzo's eyes narrowed. He also secretly clenched his fists. It seems that the hypocrite Hiruzen has set his sights on Li Quan. At this moment, Danzo felt a little crazy. He really wanted to use the Uchiha Mirror's eyes to give Hiruzen a blow. But he really couldn't figure out the strength of his old rival. And he didn't want any big chaos to happen in Konoha. Li Quan is Konoha's jade, don't even think about it. Waving his hand, Sarutobi took a deep puff of his pipe. Then he started to review other documents. Now, in his eyes, Li Quan is much more valuable than Kakashi. Both strength and talent are impressive. And he is very close to Tsunade. He has a deeper understanding of the will of fire than Kakashi, a piece of wood. In comparison, Li Quan means much more to me. Since it is impossible to take advantage of the hatred between Senju and Uchiha to occupy the ninja hospital, then use this child to help yourself. There is no corner that cannot be knocked, and there is no child that cannot be brainwashed. Snort. On the side, Danzo suddenly shook his sleeves. His face turned extremely unfriendly. It seems that his decision to act on his own was completely the right one. Once he kidnaps the child's parents, won't the child still obey him obediently? Then, send this child to Anbu to become a spy. Hehe Hiruzen, oh Hiruzen, you really think you have everything under control, don't you? When I become Hokage, my Shimura clan will definitely annex your Sarutobi clan. Clang, the door was slammed hard. Danzo also left the Hokage's office. The difference is that Hiruzen did not take any action. Danzo sent out several more root ninjas and left the village. Inside the barbecue restaurant, Li Quan has completely let go of his belly at this moment. Of all things in the world, only delicious food should not be wasted. What's more, by his side is the most beautiful woman in Konoha village. Plus, it was Tsunade who treated them. Then he would be even happier. It feels really good not to have to spend any money. You can do it, kid. After drinking some wine, Tsunade's eyes were already a little dizzy. Tsunade hugged Li Quan's head, and tears appeared in her eyes. Shenshu, sister, I miss you so much, please don't leave me, okay? There was a hint of pleading in her tone, and her body trembled slightly. Tsunade was very scared, afraid that another accident would happen. She doesn't want to lose her brother again. While in Tsunade's arms, Li Quan experienced the facial cleanser service. But he wasn't very happy. What can I do about the envious eyes around me? He was mistaken for someone else. Also, although it was a bit exaggerated, he really felt suffocated. Chapter 44. Inside the barbecue restaurant, 5 minutes later. Sister, let go. A voice came from Tsunade's arms. The voice was very dull, and he seemed to be out of breath. But one sentence instantly pulled Tsunade back to reality from the illusion. No matter how similar they are, Li Quan is not a rope tree. After all, the sounds are different. Letting go of her hand, Tsunade held the bottle dejectedly and took a big gulp. Under the yellow light, wine slid down the corners of his mouth. Accompanied by tears, it looks very sad. On the side, Li Quan took a few deep breaths before coming to his senses. It's too difficult. It would be fine if he was prepared, after all, his physical fitness is there. Holding it for 20 minutes is not a problem. But he wasn't prepared. If you can hold on for 5 minutes without taking a breath, it's already pretty good. During these 5 minutes, he was still waiting for Tsunade to come to her senses and realize that something was wrong. But Tsunade had no intention of letting go. What could he do? You can't really suffocate yourself to death, right? Pulling out a piece of paper and handing it to Tsunade, Li Quan silently stayed by Tsunade's side. Sister Tsunade, do you miss your brother? Yes, he left so suddenly that I was not prepared at all. As she spoke, Tsunade took off the crystal pendant from her neck that caused her great pain. As she touched this relic of her grandfather, her eyes suddenly became moist. Tears kept flowing down her face and she cried silently. This crystal pendant carries everything about her. It is also the source of her pain. It was the day after she gave the pendant to her brother. The detonating talisman blew the rope tree to pieces. Afterwards, she gave the pendant to her lover Kato Dan. But not long after, Duan was also seriously injured on the battlefield. No matter how she treated him, she couldn't save his life. It was also from that day that Tsunade developed a fear of death. To be honest, she wasn't really afraid of blood. What she feared was the passing of life. That's why she didn't dare to take action when facing Uchiha Xiao Yang today. Just when Tsunade was sad, Li Quan snatched the pendant from Tsunade's hand. Then, he hung the pendant around his neck. Sister, this pendant is very beautiful. Why don't you give it to me as your reward for today? Looking at Tsunade with a smile, Li Quan straightened his chest. And the pendant was shining brightly under the light. What are you doing? Do you know that this is a cursed necklace? On the side, Tsunade's expression changed drastically. I hurriedly wanted to reach out and take off the necklace. Just now, she seemed to really see her younger brother Senju rope tree. Sunny smile, similar looks. And that name that is so familiar that it couldn't be more familiar. But she really didn't want to see the people she cared about die in front of her again. Li Quan dodged directly and distanced himself from Tsunade. Then he waved his hand and said indifferently. What curse or no curse? That's all a lie. He was of course aware of the rumor that the person wearing the sword would die if it did not recognize a master other than Tsunade. But Naruto has lived for so long, isn't he still fine? The death of those two people was not a curse. At least Li Quan doesn't believe it. He was more inclined to believe that the deaths of these two were related to the third generation and Danzo. Speaking of which, Sister Tsunade, you are not reluctant to part with it, are you? I heard that this necklace can be exchanged for 3 mines. As he spoke, he looked over with a puzzled look. Li Quan's disturbance directly disrupted Tsunade's sadness. Tsunade never expected that Li Quan would snatch her necklace for this reason. But strangely enough, I didn't really resist. Maybe Li Quan will really rewrite this curse. It is peacetime now and the village is very safe. Moreover, the strength of this perverted brat and his outrageously perverted bloodline limit are extremely outstanding. Come to think of it, the bloodstains of this perverted brat are very similar to certain abilities of the Uzumaki clan. However, the Uzumaki clan's abilities seem to be quite limited. She had also never heard of the Uzumaki clan's ability to transform the human body. Forget it, if you want it, I'll give it to you. But no one dares to buy this thing now. It's just a piece of jewelry at best. With a relaxed smile, Tsunade sat back in her seat and picked up a skewer of barbecue. But the way she looked at Li Quan was slightly teasing. Not everyone dares to take Tsunade's things. And there are rumors of such a curse. It is even more impossible for someone to spend a large amount of money to buy it. After all, your life is your own. As for this pervert, I must protect him from now on. This time, she really didn't want to lose the people she cared about again. But there are some things that Tsunade still can't figure out. Aren't there subsidies for left-behind children? Besides, the parents of this pervert should also give money to the village. Why would you like to make money so much when you don't have to worry about food and clothing? This pervert wanted to enter the ninja hospital before, and his intention was to make money. People are snatching my necklace now because they see its value. Wait, you pervert, you're not really going to sell this necklace, are you? Suddenly, Tsunade's face turned cold, and the barbecue bamboo skewers she had just eaten flew out of her hand. Li Quan tilted his head suddenly and bit the bamboo stick. Then he placed the bamboo stick on the plate with a guilty conscience. Ahem, how can that be possible? This is a gift from you, the super strength girl, how can I possibly sell it? In fact, Li Quan really thought about it. What is the value of the 3 mines? At the very least, that's more than 10 billion. If all of it were used for lottery draws, at the very least, it would allow him to reach the peak shadow level. But this was a gift from Tsunade after all. How could he possibly sell something that meant so much to Tsunade? So the moment the idea came up, he immediately discarded it. But looking at her current state, after this deliberate disturbance, Tsunade has returned to the way she was when she was bickering with him. Then he wouldn't worry about anything. With him around, it's unknown whether Tsunade will leave the village in the future. Don't think about it, that's for later. Who knows what will happen next? Anyway, with him here, whoever dares to bully Tsunade, he will definitely make that guy regret coming into this world. Tsunade is his current partner. Everything in the ninja hospital also needs to be arranged by Tsunade. After that, he also planned to use the Senjo clan behind Tsunade to build his own business empire. So nothing must happen to Tsunade. Late at night, Li Quan hugged Tsunade speechlessly and walked towards his home. Tsunade was drunk. But he didn't know where Tsunade's home was. In desperation, he could only take Tsunade back to his home temporarily. With the strength he showed in the ninja school, there is no problem holding an adult. To attract other people's attention is at most to make them marvel at it. But he was still thinking about the few lip marks Tsunade left on his face when she was drunk. Amid the envious gazes of passers-by, Li Quan smiled proudly. At this moment, he suddenly wasn't particularly repulsive and felt a bit like Sheng. Shu. Chapter 45. Return home. After putting Tsunade on the bed, Li Quan turned on the light. Look at the necklace hanging around your neck. He silently put the necklace into his clothes. The value of this necklace is indeed very great. But now, lottery is not a necessity for him. For the time being, he was safe. Moreover, there is a lot of uncertainty in the system's lottery draw, and the items are of varying quality. He needs to test the effects of the various things and skills he draws out himself. Just like Wudang Tai Chi, its functionality has not been developed much yet. So much so that after the battle with Kakashi, he only fought against Orochimaru a few times, and never used it much after that. But in the novice gift package, Red Hand, one of the 2 perfect hands, has been helping him. And it also improves his strength. In fact, the accumulated money you've spent before will also increase your chances of getting the big stuff. You can also win some good things by participating in the lottery multiple times. So saving money is his primary goal now. Or if you have a lot of money, you can take a big draw. Either spend money to thoroughly understand the functions of the system. After that, his strength will show a controllable geometric growth. Then after a period of settling down, put all the things you have drawn to your own use. This is what he should do most right now. Putting away his thoughts, Li Quan looked at Tsunade on the bed, then looked at his own body. Finally he sighed. Why am I only 5 years old? Come to think of it, Red Hand should be able to transform himself into an adult, right? If the speed is fast enough, perhaps it should be able to achieve the effect of transformation. But then, Li Quan suddenly shook his head. Change is possible. But if I can't change back, that would be bad. For this kind of thing, you should experiment on others first. By the way, why hasn't Orochimaru come back yet? After so much time has passed, there shouldn't be any surprises in Orochimaru's strength, right? Putting aside all thoughts, Li Chuan looked at Tsunade somewhat awkwardly. The clothes were all wet with wine. Do you want to change it? If this changes, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by Tsunade. If you don't change it, Tsunade might catch a cold. Let's change it. Mainly because I'm afraid Tsunade will catch a cold. Li Chuan chuckled as he was deceiving himself. After all, with the Senjo clan's strong vitality, how could they possibly catch a cold? But then Li Chuan was in trouble. Tsunade doesn't seem to be able to wear my clothes. My dad's clothes. Forget it, even though dad's clothes are big, Tsunade may not be happy to wear them. After some trouble, Li Chuan found his mother Eri's largest set of clothes and changed them for Tsunade. However, although I have used the Ludongwen to see Tsunade, but there is still a big gap between that and seeing it with your own eyes. After quickly resolving the battle, Li Chuan withdrew his hand tremblingly. There's nothing I can do. I'm really nervous. In his previous life, he had never even held a girl's hand. Now that he was doing something like this, it would be nonsense for him to say that he was not nervous. But this feeling is really exciting. So much so that his nose once again dripped a few drops of blood. This is very strange for Li Chuan. With his current physical condition, how could he still have a nosebleed? Shaking his head speechlessly, Li Chuan yawned. Just as he was about to go to his room to sleep, Tsunade grabbed Li Quan's wrist. Shenshu, no, don't go. Don't leave your sister, okay? Tsunade mumbled softly in her sleep, with a few tears appearing in the corners of her eyes. Seeing this scene, Li Chuan felt helpless. Then he gently wiped away Tsunade's tears and whispered in her ear, Sister, I promise you, this time, I will never leave you. As he said this, he sat on the stool beside the bed and fell asleep on the edge of the bed. Early the next morning, Li Chuan was rubbed awake by a pair of big hands. There was no expected rage, only a gentle smile. But Li Chuan really doesn't want to accept this kind of tenderness. In his heart, he is already a man in his 20s. What's the big deal about being treated like a child all the time? After stretching, Tsunade took a breath of satisfaction. But as Tsunade's activities ended, a button on her chest flew out without any warning. Oh my, you pervert, the clothes you changed for me seem a little too small. Tsunade raised her soft fingers and frowned helplessly. Superwoman, what are you like? Don't you have any idea? Li Chuan curled his lips. Then he started to tidy up his hair which had been tangled by Tsunade. He was really convinced. Don't you know that hairstyle is a man's second face? After all, he is the most handsome guy in the class. How will he meet Yahakurane and the others in the future? However, he still looked over subconsciously out of the corner of his eye. Men only think about a few things. With power over the world and a beautiful woman in his arms, he has no interest in being Hokage. The nature of Hokage is equivalent to the village chief of Konoha village. The status is too low. Being the emperor of the whole world is fun. As for the beauty in my arms, Yahakurane and the others are still young, and they are not as attractive as Tsunade. If Uchiha and Mikoto had not already become other people's wives, he would probably have come into contact with all of these people. However, because he was not familiar with these people, Li Chuan really didn't know the specific situation. After all, the original book does not clearly state when these people got married. There is a possibility of poaching. Tisk, can you blame me for this? Do you think I wanted them to be this big? Sitting on the bed, Tsunade said irritably. But there was an obvious sense of pride in his expression. This is her capital that makes others envious. How could she dislike it? Oh, glancing at Tsunade, Li Chuan pretended not to understand and asked, so you don't like them? But in his heart, he was complaining. It is true that those who are suffering from drought will die of drought, and those who are suffering from floods will die of floods. If Kushina knew this, she would go crazy. It's really a burden sometimes. On the bed, Tsunade knocked Li Quan's head and didn't know what to say. How could she talk about this kind of topic with this pervert? If it were Shengshu, he would have run away with a red face. Just as Tsunade was about to get out of bed, Li Chuan suddenly smiled sinisterly. This is easy, I'll help you solve it. As he spoke, Li Chuan raised his right hand and pressed it on Tsunade's chest. As the red light flashed away, the two soft pairs of breasts in front of Tsunade shrank visibly. A piercing scream echoed throughout most of Konoha. The praise is a bit exaggerated. But it's not much different. Then, two figures, one chasing and one fleeing, appeared on the street. Hey, is that Lady Tsunade? Why do I feel like Lady Tsunade is a little different today? You're too young, this is definitely not Lady Tsunade, it must be some ninja who is not proficient in transformation techniques. But it looks beautiful like this, but I always feel like something is missing. While everyone was talking about it, Li Chuan was forced to arrive at school early. Then he was held by Tsunade's ear and brought into Tsunade's independent office. You little pervert, change back to your original form. I won't. After a long stalemate, Li Chuan finally lost. Touching the lip print on his forehead, he walked towards the classroom with great joy. The relationship with Tsunade has become one step closer. It's just a bit of a pity. Tsunade didn't wear lipstick, so there was no trace of lip marks. Otherwise, those boys in the class would probably kill him with their eyes. This is just right, it fits his current personality. However, before he entered the classroom, his sensitive ears heard a voice. The midterm exam is coming soon. Have you prepared for it? Will it be difficult? Chapter 46. Outside the classroom. Hearing the news, Li Quan raised his eyebrows. Enrollment is just. Has it been over a month? Why does he feel like he hasn't learned anything? Every day I either read about the third generation's deeds in textbooks or listen to stories told by the third generation. Only the Taijutsu class and Shuriken class in the afternoon are somewhat useful. In terms of ninjutsu, they also teach the extraction of chakra. He didn't even see the shadow of all the magic. Speaking of which, last time, Obito said he learned the transformation technique. But he was not sure where he learned it from. It is estimated that the Uchiha people themselves may have taught them. What can I test on in the midterm exam? The glorious deeds of the third generation? Speaking of which, if we really talk about fighting, only the children of the big families in the village can have a look. By then, members of these families might also come to watch. After all, victory represents the reputation of all ethnic groups. Come to think of it, the children in these classes now do not seem to be the elites of the big families. Uchiha Obito, Hyaganatsu, and those few Konoha clan members whose names he couldn't tell. Suddenly, Li Quan's eyes lit up. For him, this might be a good thing. These children who are not valued by the big families, although they are not valued by the big families. But I can still learn various ninjutsu. During this period, he thought about it every day, using Daladongwan to observe the ninjas using ninjutsu. But I never found the opportunity. Midterm exams may be an opportunity. By then, if I can successfully use chi, I can imitate the three-body technique. Then he can not only graduate successfully, but also use his clone to go out of the village. The Hokage world is so big, it would be a shame not to travel around. Walk into the classroom. The noise in the classroom suddenly stopped. Many students flipped through their textbooks unconsciously. However, when they saw that it was Li Quan, everyone's faces turned unfriendly. A bear Mayuaki is usually very serious. In addition, he used insects once to demonstrate the secret techniques of insects to them, which left many students with trauma. Li Quan suddenly opened the classroom door. Wasn't this intended to scare them? But when they thought of Li Quan's powerful strength, they were immediately discouraged. Can't beat. No, Li Quan, could you please make some noise next time? You scared me to death. I thought Teacher Yusha was here. In the classroom, Uchiha Obito had a look of fear on his face. After a brief silence, the other students continued to play. After Obito put down his textbook, he immediately asked with concern, I saw you and Lady Tsunade go to the ninja hospital yesterday. You are fine, right? What? Hearing this, Yahai Kurane, who was talking to Asuma, immediately came to Li Quan and began to examine him carefully. Compared to Yahai Kurane's carefree personality, Nohara Lin is much more reserved. However, Lin's gaze also turned to Li Quan. The other girls in the class also turned their eyes to Li Quan. Although Kakashi is also very handsome, he became very cold after what happened with Hitaki Sakumo. Among the girls, only the gentle Nohara Rin could talk to Kakashi. But the sunny Li Quan got along well with the girls in the class. Moreover, Li Quan is the most handsome boy in the class. Li Quan was injured, how could these little girls not care? But this scene directly made all the boys' attention fall on Obito. Obito, isn't it better for him to be honest? Why is the mouth so annoying? Especially Asuma Sarutobi. He had finally managed to ease the relationship with Yahai Kurane and was preparing to ask Hong to go out and play together in the evening. As a result, Red ran away directly. At this moment, Asuma's face turned pale. But then, he snorted coldly and sat down on his seat depressed. My brother Shinishuk said that Li Quan is very strong. If he can't improve his current physical skills, it would be impossible to win with just the 3 ninjutsu he had learned so far. Asuma was very depressed. He thought that he could defeat Li Quan with the 3 ninjutsu techniques. But why is it like this now? I became friends with this guy because I saw that he was lonely. But how come it becomes like this now? It's all my father's fault. He had clearly agreed not to let Li Quan enroll in school. Why did his father send Li Quan to the ninja school? He slammed the table angrily, immediately alarming all the children. Then there was silence again. But then many boys gathered around Asuma and began to ask about her well-being. But Asuma felt very uncomfortable. What boy would be interested in boys? He wants to play with Hong and the others. On the other side, Li Quan just smiled and shook his head, patting Yahai Kurane's hand and saying, it's okay. Lady Tsunade said that I have some talent in medicine. I just need to go over and take a look. This was naturally a smokescreen released by Li Quan. If you go to the ninja hospital, you must have a slicked back hair. Show your talents and grow little by little. Eventually, people would think he was a hard-working genius. The safe way is to use a self-created name to cover up his cheating. However, Li Quan's words once again aroused a wave of jealous glances. Li Quan is so lucky to be noticed by Lady Tsunade. Soon, the classroom door was opened again. This time, it was a Bear Mayuki. What followed was an extremely boring class. Li Quan was confused. Does the third generation have such a glorious history? It has been a month and they still haven't finished telling it. But acting still has to happen. And in Tsunade's independent office. Tsunade was now pacing back and forth. I rescued Uchiha Xiaoyang yesterday, so now that the problem has been solved, it's not a big deal. But the follow-up things are the most troublesome. Li Chuan, that pervert, obviously wanted to put the blame on her. Tsunade also intended to take over this matter. This matter is of great benefit to her. The task of saving Xiao Yang fell on her shoulders, which meant that in the eyes of some people, she had overcome her hemophobia. After that, she won't have any weaknesses. At least it's safe and guaranteed. But this matter cannot withstand the test and will eventually be exposed. So she had to overcome it quickly. During this period of time, she also has to find ways to deal with other people's temptations. If only Li Chuan could extract Chakra. After learning the transformation technique, you can let this little pervert treat you. I just don't know the extent of this little pervert's ability. Changing the body is not the same as treatment. But that little BD is so brave. Just thinking about her makes me angry. You dare to do anything, right? This is a gift from God, how could she really despise it? Looking at the two soft lumps on her chest, Tsunade touched her lips. Why do I have no resistance to that little BD? After getting drunk last night, the vague memories made her blush. When Li Chuan woke up in the morning, the lipstick marks on his face gradually changed from dark to light. So much so that when they parted in the morning, her last kiss left no trace. It would be great if Li Chuan was really rope tree. Sighing with emotion, she put away her thoughts and her eyes became extremely firm. The relationship between Li Chuan and himself has now come into the eyes of some people. How can I protect this little BD? By the way, let this little guy follow me and be a special assistant. In this way, not only will Li Chuan be safe, but when others try to test him, he can also rely on this little pervert to deal with the tests. Also, this pervert seems to be very short of money. If the necklace can't be sold, I'll just pay for it myself. But how much is appropriate? Chapter 47. Before I knew it, it was already afternoon. As usual, Li Chuan maintained relationships with several little girls. Then he sent the little girls home one by one. Then, he walked towards home alone. It just made him feel strange. Tsunade didn't come to the physical training class in the afternoon, which made him very confused. He had originally planned to continue visiting the ninja hospital today. He has not yet fully developed Red Hand's abilities. There were many ideas that he didn't really want to experiment on himself. As for other things and treasures? Sensing several gazes appearing again, Li Chuan decisively chose to give up. Before, when these gazes disappeared, he thought that the third generation and Danzo had given up on him. Now it seems that it is the same as his previous guess. These people were temporarily transferred away to help Hokage Sakumo set up a trap. Now, the matter of Hokage Sakumo has come to an end for the time being. Now these people are here again. What can he do? He has not yet learned the art of clone. I can only be honest and maintain my daily life. By the way, has Hokage Sakumo found the Akatsuki organization? He remembered that Jiraiya had separated from Yahiko and the other two just last year. 1 year has passed, and the Akatsuki organization has only been established for a short time. It is an organization that relies entirely on doing hired tasks to make money. The idea of a euro building peace without resorting to force. I really don't know what Jiraiya is thinking. In this world where people kill people with force at every turn, Jiraiya actually taught his 3 children to be so pedantic. Then he was targeted by Danzo Shimura, and together with Hanzo Salamander, they killed Yahiko. Tisk tisk, the only bad guy in Hokage, Danzo. It's really inhumane. The spiritual leader is right, political power comes from the barrel of a gun. Strong force is never a bad thing. To achieve world peace, we must first have nuclear peace. When necessary, go all the way. Then the world will be truly peaceful. Suddenly, Li Chuan raised his eyebrows. Under the observation of Daluo, a group of people left. What is the reason? Although he didn't quite understand, Li Chuan didn't show any abnormality. Just very quickly. Li Chuan understood what was going on. Looking at the middle-aged man not far away, wearing a rose-red hat, a white robe, and blowing smoke rings from time to time. The muscles on his face twitched a few times. Sarutobi Hiruzen. So, the 3 people who just left should be the members of Anbu, right? Look at that casual movement. If you don't know better, you might really think that this 3rd generation member is out shopping. Adjusted my mood a little. Li Quan's face showed excitement. At the same time, his actions became timid. After taking a few nervous steps, he came to Sarutobi Hiruzen. 3rd generation grandpa, hello. Hearing the stuttering voice, Sarutobi Hiruzen put down his pipe and looked gently at Li Chuan, who was only 3 or 4 meters away from him. Oh, it's you? I remember, your name is Li Chuan, right? Li Chuan immediately nodded happily. But in his heart, he was really speechless. This old fox has been keeping an eye on him for a long time and is still acting with him. But he's also acting. But there is nothing we can do about it. The old fox, Hiruzen, was on his way home. If he wants to go home, he must meet Sarutobi Hiruzen. After more than a month of school, it would be strange if he didn't show some ability. Carefully using the Daluo cave observation to observe Sarutobi Hiruzen, Li Chuan felt somewhat uneasy. Will this old fox find out? Li Chuan, why are you alone? Where are your parents? On the side, Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to recall for a moment and said doubtfully. Shouldn't I ask your elders about this? With a sneer in his heart, the happiness on Li Quan's face suddenly disappeared. Mom and Dad, they're off on a mission. I miss them so much. 3rd generation grandpa, can you let them come back? Facing Li Quan's hopeful gaze, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled bitterly. This. Koizumi, be good. Ninja missions are for the safety of the village and the country. I can't do anything about it. That's not wrong. Li Quan's parents were carrying out an A-level mission. It was distributed by the Fire Nation's top brass, and he had no way to stop it. Guilt flashed through his mind, and Hiruzen remembered the purpose of his visit to Li Quan today. However, this matter cannot be made clear for the time being. After all, according to the intelligence, this little guy Li Quan is a smart guy. Oh. Li Quan felt a little lonely. Although he expected it, he couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. He hasn't seen his parents in this world for more than a year. Of course I do think about it. However, apart from thinking, the performance element accounts for the majority. Koizumi, so you are the only one at home? Have you received your allowance this month? Not yet. Li Quan smiled bitterly. But he suddenly felt a throbbing in his heart. Under close observation in Daladongguan, he saw an extremely astonishing energy in Sarutobi Hiruzen. In comparison, the 5 Shu Mao may not be able to compare with him. The 48-year-old third generation is better than I am now. This made Li Quan's heart beat faster. Just as Tsunade said, the third generation is very strong. Moreover, the third generation, who are in their prime, are terrifyingly strong. If we add an ape demon. Thinking of this, Li Quan's plan suddenly changed. If he wants to dance in Konoha village, he will probably have to lie dormant for a little longer. On the side, Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. This bitter smile, is it because there is not enough money to spend? Yes, the subsidy for left-behind children seems to be only 1,000 taels. 1,000 taels is really nothing. It's not even enough for him to have a few meals. Xiao Chuan, is it not enough to spend? Grandpa will decide and give you 1,500 taels this month, okay? Walking closer and touching Li Quan's head, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with a smile. Okay. Hearing this, Li Quan nodded happily. But in his heart, he sneered. It's just 500 taels more, you're really stingy. By the way, on Naruto's birthday, Hiruzen only gave him this much more. It's a pity for Minato Namikaze. Then Grandpa will take you home, okay? Li Quan nodded and took the hand that Sarutobi Hiruzen extended. Send Li Quan home. Sarutobi Hiruzen lit up his pipe and took 2 puffs. Then he smiled with satisfaction. After all, he is just a child. I was just given 500 taels more and I was so happy. How about being smart? Sooner or later, it will be yours. But this time, I didn't find a chance to ask this little guy about Tsunade. Don't rush, take your time. This Konoha is still Sarutobi Hiruzen's Konoha. He has plenty of time to brainwash Li Quan. After glancing at something not far away, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression suddenly turned cold. You still dare to follow? As he finished speaking, several sights disappeared instantly. Upon seeing this scene, Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. Danzo, you are becoming less and less like yourself. You have been the assistant to the Hokage for so long. You don't really want to be the Hokage, do you? Shaking his head, he looked deeply in the direction of the mountain behind Hokage Rock. There, is where the roots are. And at home. Through a door, Li Quan was silently using the Daluo cave observation to watch Sarutobi Hiruzen. After seeing Hiruzen leave, he curled his lips in disdain. Madness. You want to brainwash him, unless he has water in his brain. But now that Uchiha Shisui is born, we have to be on guard. He was still very wary of the ability of distinguished heavenly gods. But with him around, Danzo is just dreaming if he wants to get Shisui's eyeballs. Chapter 48. The sunlight shone through the window and fell on Li Quan's face. Li Quan opened his eyes dazedly. 4 days have passed since Uchiha Zai Liang was rescued. Li Quan had a very fulfilling 4 days. When he has nothing to do, he chats with Yahai Kurane, teases Shizuan and watches Obito show off in front of him with Lin. But Lin and Hong's eyes always fall on me. Then Obito and Asuma started to grit their teeth. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen never contacted me again after that day. But the NBU members in the corner were still staring at him. Tsunade and Li Quan have not been seen for the past 4 days. I don't know what he is busy with. Without Tsunade, he couldn't even go to the ninja hospital. He took the initiative to look for Tsunade, but he didn't know her exact location, so he had to give up. As for the midterm exam in 5 days, Li Quan is not worried at all. The so-called actual combat is just a group of children playing house. Although his current body is still that of a child. But he is not afraid of anyone. As for the theoretical exam, with Daluo Dongguan's observation and perspective ability which is more terrifying than the white eyes, he can easily get a good score. There was only one thing he had to consider. How to perform at the level he should be at in the exam. Not too high, nor too low. After all, his goal is to become an above-average qualified student and graduate smoothly from the ninja school. By the way, in the practical exam, observe the principles of ninjutsu through Darudugan. Thus using chi to imitate ninjutsu. As for today. The school was closed today, so Li Quan simply tidied himself up and went out. Usually at times like this, he would keep in touch with Lin and the others. Inside the ninja hospital. Tsunade looked at the running water in the hospital with melancholy, and lay weakly on the table. This month's profit is somewhat insufficient to cover expenses. I'm tired. Originally, she was thinking about withdrawing some money from the ninja hospital. But looking at the current situation, it will take at least half a month to withdraw money from the ninja hospital. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, a member of the Senju clan knocked on the office door. Enter. Holding her forehead, Tsunade waved her hand dejectedly. Outside the office, Senju Yan walked in. Looking at Tsunade, who had a worried look on her face, he didn't know how to start talking for a moment. After not hearing any sound for a long time, Tsunade looked up at the person in front of her. Senju Yan, a member of the branch Senju clan, head of the intelligence department. However, the intelligence department of the Senju clan is now in name only. Stop dithering. If you have something to say, just say it. Looking at Senju Yan in front of her irritably, Tsunade said impatiently. This is the largest hospital in Konoha village. At the peak of her career, she could easily take out tens of millions of taels and go to the Shimura clan's casino to gamble. But now the hospital can't even come up with 1 million taels. How could she still be in the mood to talk nonsense with Senju Yan? Tsunade would never believe that there was no trick involved. These worms in the hospital. This is something she built. The medical system, treatment rules, and medical equipment are the result of her years of research. How long has she been in a state of depression since the end of the Second Ninja War? In the 39th year of Konoha, the Ninja War ended. It has only been 4 years. It has been 4 years, and she only started to become addicted to gambling and drinking in the last 2 years. But why did it turn out like this? That. Looking at Tsunade, who seemed a little crazy, Senju Yan couldn't help but shrink his neck. He was really afraid that Tsunade would give him a painful kick. But then, he still gritted his teeth and said to Tsunade, Master Patriarch, there is some news about the child you asked me to pay attention to. 4 days ago, the Hokage had private contact with the child alone. I don't know the details. Pa-a slap suddenly slammed on the table and Tsunade stood up abruptly. The constant shaking of the chest is extremely eye-catching. However, Senju Yan shuddered and did not dare to look up at Tsunade's eyes. The Patriarch was angry. And it's not just ordinary anger. Didn't you see that solid wood desk was beaten into powder? At this time, how could he dare to raise his head? Senju Yan really couldn't understand why the clan leader had such big emotional fluctuations. Just for that kid? Are you kidding me? Apart from being somewhat similar to the clan leader's younger brother, the child was also a bit prettier. Even if they are similar, they are not brothers. Is it necessary to be so excited? Why are you saying this now? Inside the office, Tsunade ignored the messy desk and narrowed her eyes, her breath becoming extremely suppressed. At this moment, she still had some rationality. Since Senju Yan reported to her, it means that nothing happened to Li Quan. Otherwise, Senju Yan wouldn't have this expression. She was angry because why did the information about the Senju clan come so slowly? 4 days, 4 whole days. Only now did she know that her teacher had contact with Li Quan. Although she admired this teacher, she was also very wary of him. Especially after I vaguely realized that the current situation of the Senju clan was related to this teacher. She became even more fearful. And in her mind, there was an even more terrifying guess. As the heir to the next Senju clan leader, the death of his younger brother Nawake was most likely caused by his teacher. Shenju is the male of the Senju clan with the purest bloodline. If she can grow up well, she may be able to reach the level of her grandfather, the Hokage. But surprisingly, he was killed by the detonating talisman that was buried in advance. How did the information leak out? Until now, she still doesn't know. If I, the teacher, had set my eyes on Li Quan. If Li Quan is not subdued, this teacher will probably destroy Li Quan. I clearly made up my mind not long ago to protect Li Quan. Now she doesn't even know what happened to Li Quan. How can she be protected? Chief, I. After saying the word I several times in a row, cold sweat broke out on Senju Yan's forehead. Tsunade's gaze made her feel a little frightened. At the same time, there is also a deep sense of helplessness. He wanted to say it earlier too. But the intelligence department of the Senju clan is pitifully short-staffed. If he hadn't planted people at the root, he would be confused now. Okay, I got it. Find someone to clean up. I'm going to go out for a while. Tsunade obviously figured out the reason. Looking at the messy office, she no longer had any intention to check the accounts. Since you are short of money, just owe it for now. Now, she wants to find her teacher and ask for an explanation. 4 days ago, Hokage's office. Shimura Danzo rushed in directly. And his eyes seemed to be breathing fire. Sarutobi almost roaring, he threw away the documents on Hiruzen's desk. Looking at the floating documents, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe and then stood up. Danzo, you passed. FK. You really don't want to give me any, right? Gritting his teeth, Danzo narrowed his eyes, and waved his hand to fan away the smoke in front of him. Give what? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. Li Quan. Are you still pretending to be stupid? This kid? I didn't do anything. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head. In fact, he was right. Some things need to be done slowly, step by step. This is his style of doing things. He did the same with Li Quan. But Shimura Danzo just sneered. Until now, Hiruzen, the hypocrite, is still pretending to be nice to him. It seems that we must act as soon as possible. Chapter 49. Inside the Hokage's office. Shimura Danzo has regained his sanity at this moment. He knew very well what Sarutobi Hiruzen was like. This time he came here because he was really angry. There has always been an unspoken understanding between the two. No matter what big things Sarutobi Hiruzen does, he, as the Hokage's assistant, will know about it. But he didn't expect that Hiruzen would want to take all the Senjo clan's cake for himself. Why? It was he who proposed the plan. But this time, Hiruzen did not even discuss this action with him, and he even warned his root members. This is what makes him most angry. Is this a warning to the roots? This was clearly a warning to him, the leader of the root. Are you preparing to gradually squeeze him out of the top leadership? Snort. Once the people he sent out come back, he can start immediately. The technique of eradicating the evil of tongues is only a means to prevent secrets from being leaked, and it cannot make people completely submit. Only various fetters are the best means to control others. Thinking about the members he had sent out before, Shimura Denzo narrowed his eyes slightly. Hiruzen, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Today I'm going to make it clear. I can put Li Chuan aside for now. But don't think of monopolizing the interests of the Senjo clan. After all, there are more than just the Sarutobi and Shimura families in this village. Denzo, remember that I am the Hokage, and you are just the Hokage's assistant. Arranging the few remaining documents on the table, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat down calmly. He naturally heard the threat. But so what? Just as he said, he, Sarutobi Hiruzen, is the Hokage, the one who brings benefits to all the major families and coordinates everything. You also know that I am a soft-hearted person even though I am soft-hearted towards my own people. But, you know better than anyone what I will do, don't you? Looking up at Denzo in front of him, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were full of warning. FKU, I'm angry because I know what you are going to do. Remember my words, otherwise, hey. After saying that, Denzo left the office directly. The roots have been established for too long and have penetrated into every aspect of Konoha. After more than 10 years of accumulation, it is not easy for Sarutobi Hiruzen to touch him. Some things are more convenient if they are talked about. As for Li Chuan, he was not going to let him go. It's almost there. It's almost there. But when you control Li Chuan, you must be quick. At the very least, Hiruzen must not be able to find out. By then, all the resources of the Senjo clan will be his. But Sarutobi Hiruzen did not speak for a long time. Denzo is a tough, extremely suspicious and ambitious person. But Denzo always remained loyal to the village. With Tuanzang around, he doesn't have to do many things himself. He can also be a leaf in the sun in an upright manner. So Denzo had to live. This sudden action was a warning to Denzo. He could naturally see Denzo's feelings for Li Chuan. It was because he saw this that he approached the child. He wanted to let Denzo see how much he valued Li Chuan. The benefits can be shared, but Li Chuan is the person he wants, and no one can touch him. Now it seemed that Denzo understood what he meant. But will this old classmate really be honest? One day ago, in Yuyan village. Orochimaru has been having a very pleasant time these days. Staying with Li Taei and his wife, he once again experienced the life of an ordinary person. Plain, simple and plain. In addition to going out occasionally to record the changes in the Hidden Rain village and the major events that have happened recently. Mr. and Mrs. Li Taei are just like a pair of ordinary people who couldn't be more normal. This is also the norm for low-level ninjas to lurk and gather intelligence. For him, who had experienced the baptism of war and conducted human experiments, this kind of life was a complete enjoyment. But Orochimaru hated this feeling. Waste time. There is no eternal life, and days like this will eventually come to an end. Plus there is not enough strength. Once threatened, they will be killed sooner or later. Now, he already knew that the couple was Li Quan's parents. Li Chuan is the little teacher he met not long ago. Before he learned the mysterious technique, he didn't want to completely fall out with Li Chuan. And what happened some time ago also made Orochimaru understand the situation. Shimura Denzo has set his sights on Li Chuan. It was for this reason that he stayed in the thatched hut. Orochimaru knew very well what kind of personality Denzo had. If we can send the first wave of Anbu over, we will send the second wave. This is his chance. If he protects Li Quan's parents, he will have certain capital in front of Li Chuan. It will also be easier to learn that mysterious technique later. Master, are you the sage of six paths? With his eyes narrowed, Orochimaru stuck out his newly remodeled tongue. Suddenly, he smiled. The little snakes he had arranged around him started to move. Back to now, afternoon. Inside a special ward in the ninja hospital. Uchiha Ryo came to Uchiha Xiaoyang with a bowl of steaming broth. But Uchiha Xiaoyang's expression showed extreme disgust. I've already told you I'm fine, why don't you listen? I want to eat something spicy right now, spicy. Xiaoyang, stop it. How can it be so easy to reply after just giving birth? Faced with his wife's complaints, Uchiha Yang seriously picked up the broth, scooped a spoonful, and fed it to Xiaoyang's mouth. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Be good, for the last time. I'll take you home tomorrow after the examination. A simple word of comfort made Xiaoyang smile immediately. Finally I can go home. These days, she has been feeling very depressed. There were no scars on his body, and his eating and drinking habits were completely normal. But this idiot Liang wouldn't even let her get out of bed. With her lively personality, isn't this going to kill her? But Liang is so gentle. Don't I just like his gentleness? The soup bowl was quickly empty. What followed was Uchiha Ryo's sudden serious look. Xiaoyang, This time Lady Tsunade saved you and Shisui, what do you think we should do to repay her? This. Xiao Yang was a little at a loss. As the head of the Senju clan, he was able to save her, a member of the Uchiha clan. That means Tsunade, most likely doesn't care about the hatred between the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan. This is a great thing for Uchiha. And Liang's adventure this time almost triggered a conflict between Senju and Uchiha. If it weren't for Tsunade's superb medical skills, the consequences would be disastrous. But Tsunade is the head of the Senju clan. Like big brother Fugaku, he is the head of the clan. Moreover, Lady Tsunade is one of the legendary Sunin. What could Tsunade-sama lack? Well, wife, what I mean is, how about we be more direct and give some money? Suddenly, Uchiha laughed. Over the years, hasn't Lady Tsunade liked to go to the casino? And she always loses everything. You don't know that those gamblers outside call Lady Tsunade the big fat sheep. I think Lady Tsunade must be very short of money. Looking at the husband in front of me, who was telling me everything with confidence. Xiao Yang suddenly looked suspicious. Why do you know so much? Ahem. Uchiha coughed suddenly and turned his head away guiltily. On the hospital bed, Uchiha Liang lowered his head. She still knew what kind of person Liang was. It is impossible to gamble. After all, the financial power of the family is in her hands. It seems that my husband has already thought about it. Tell me, how much do you think is appropriate? How about 1 million taels? Are you crazy? 1 million? All the savings I have is only 2 million. Hearing this, Xiao Yang jumped up from the bed and looked at her husband in disbelief. By the bed, looking at his wife's appearance, Uchiha was suddenly frightened. Don't get excited, don't get excited. You just gave birth to a child. Can you calm down and listen to me first? Chapter 50. In the ward. After calming Uchiha Liang down, Uchiha Liang finally breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at his wife's unfriendly gaze, Liang pondered for a long time before saying, actually, the clan leader came to see me yesterday. Is this what brother Fugaku meant? With just one sentence, Xiao Yang understood. Uchiha Fugaku is a person with a strong sense of responsibility. The last thing they want to see is a falling out between the Uchiha clan and the village. Brother Fugaku, do you want to take advantage of this opportunity to make friends with Lady Tsunade? The clan leader should have this idea, but the details will depend on his opinion. Liang nodded and obediently started peeling an apple. Originally, this kind of major event involving family interests had nothing to do with him, Chanin. But now he and Xiao Yang are parties to the incident. And in full view of everyone, he activated the 3 Megatama Sharingan. Then he won't be able to escape from this matter at all. If Tsunade hadn't arranged this special ward, many people would probably have come into contact with him. Looking at his wife lying on the hospital bed, Liang's eyes turned red. No one can hurt his wife. No one can. Well, since it's what brother Fugaku wants, I have no objection. Lying on the hospital bed, Xiao Yang pursed his lips and sighed. If she could help the family achieve peace by paying 1 million of her own money, then she would have no objection. That's right, I just can't bear to let go. Half of my savings. How could she not feel pain? Here is the key to the safe. She reached out her hand with some trembling, took the key and handed it to her husband, but she didn't let go of it for a long time. But then, Liang's fingers scratched the tip of her nose. Little fool, the clan leader said that the money will be given by the clan in our name. No, this is my Xiao Yang's business. Although Xiao Yang felt a little shy due to this intimate action, he was not happy about it. Tsunade saved my life, I can't just not pay a cent, right? Add more, add another 500,000. Just consider it as my contribution to the family. Inside the Hokage's office. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen was preparing to convene a meeting of the village's top leaders. Suddenly, a member of Anbyo came into the office. Hokage-sama, Tsunade-sama is here, and she looks very angry. I don't think the guards can stop her. Got it, go ahead. By the way, let me know that the meeting is cancelled. On the side, Shimura Danzo was a little confused. Standing up and looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him, he asked, has the matter of the rope tree been discovered? Don't test me. This has nothing to do with me. It was just an accident. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Danzo and then looked away. Bang. Suddenly, the office door was violently smashed open. The terrifying Chakra rushed into the office. The amazing aura surprised Shimura Danzo. Tsunade has become stronger again. But he is still not my opponent. And Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. Tsunade, this is the Hokage's office. Keep your temper to yourself. Hey. I just heard the name of rope tree, what's going on? Facing the aggressive Tsunade, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately understood what was going on. Danzo was actually plotting against him. Fortunately, he was cautious enough and did not reveal any flaws in his words. Not sensitive enough. Tsunade was so close, but he didn't even notice her. But then, he looked at Tsunade angrily. Didn't Orochimaru check it out before? It was just an accident. But what are you doing now? Are you planning to betray the village like Hitaki Sakumo? Hearing the accusation, Tsunade was so angry that she laughed. The Senju clan fought for the village, some died in battle and some were injured. I still haven't recovered from it. How could she, the clan leader, defect? Traitor to the village, what a big hat. Teacher, Shang Shu's death, is it really nothing to do with you? Tsunade, don't you think about where I was at that time? What does this have to do with me? Yes, you are amazing. You are hiding in the rear and directing everything. Tsunade tried her best to suppress her anger, looking at the third generation who were calm and collected in front of the desk, and finally she roared. But for the sake of the village, my brother died and my lover is gone. How dare you accuse me of betraying the village? What a great mouth. Are you mocking yourself for being afraid of death? It seems that I do have some. But then, Sarutobi Hiruzen slammed the table. Pa, there were several cracks on the table. That's enough. Let's forget about this matter. I've already said it. This matter has nothing to do with me. Haha, teacher, this matter is not over yet. I will definitely find out the truth about Shengshu's death, I will. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen's gaze, Tsunade clenched her fist and punched the door frame. Snap. The whole house shook a few times at this moment. Also, Li Quan is my brother. I don't want to see him in any danger. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. He suddenly raised his foot and chopped it down to the floor. Boom. In the huge office, the floor began to crack instantly. It fanned out from in front of Tsunade's feet and spread to the front of the curved desk. Then he fell downstairs. For a moment, smoke and dust rose up. This scene made Sarutobi Hiruzen's face turn purple. He never thought that Tsunade would tear down her office for that kid Li Quan. And this exquisite power control. The painful kick only damaged part of the floor and did not demolish the entire building. It seems that I still underestimated my apprentice. Hiruzen, look at your disciple, does he still take you seriously? He dared to demolish the Hokage's office, what else can she not dare to do? On the side, Shimura Danzo, who had been silent all this time, suddenly added fuel to the fire. Especially the word Hokage, which he stretched out very long and bit very heavily. He was very happy to see Hiruzen being humiliated. Let these two masters and apprentices fight it out. If both sides are hurt in the fight, he can reap the benefits. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who preferred stability, was angry but did not show it. When the smoke cleared, he looked at Tsunade across the cave and took a few puffs of his pipe. Then he asked, Tsunade, this is why you came here, right? Snort. Tsunade snorted coldly and clenched her fists. Teacher, you should know my character. Since I dare to tear down your office, I dare to do other things as well. Besides, the Senjo clan is not extinct yet. Okay, very good. You go ahead, Li Quan, I won't move for now. Waving his hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat down, but his smoking speed became a little faster. Oink oink, several sounds of breaking through the air suddenly rang out. They are several ninjas from Anbu. After seeing the tragic situation in the office, several people instinctively took out their weapons. He looked at Tsunade nervously, as if he would take action at any time. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed helplessly. Let her go. Seeing this, Tsunade didn't waste any words and turned around to leave. But when she was leaving, her voice came again. I will continue to investigate the matter of Shengshu. Anduin, don't let me know that their affairs have anything to do with you. After seeing Tsunade leave, Danzo suddenly sneered. Hiruzen, your soft-heartedness will hurt you sooner or later. So cowardly. After all this commotion, Hiruzen would actually let Tsunade go? He really didn't know what this guy was thinking. If he were the Hokage, he would have had Tsunade tied up directly. As for Li Quan, haha, that was the agreement between Tsunade and Hiruzen. What's the relationship with him, Shimura? Danzo. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.